Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hello.
Good morning. We got about another 45 seconds or so left.
No problem. I'm going to grab
Tile Cruise Dynamite. Dynamite.
2010.
Hmm?
2010.
I will grab my links in the meantime.
Yeah, that song was huge when we were first
started.
coming on the air
Yeah.
together
Crazy.
as a radio show. Blake and Aaron.
Oh,
Back-
it's got so many memories together.
Yeah, you know the
back
song,
when we
right?
were V1.
You know that one, right?
Yes, I do.
All right, here we go. Stand by.
Big news. I have some important news for you.
Interesting news.
It's Blake and Aaron's Spilling the Tea with Sandy.
K-Man's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
Good morning, Sandy. How are you?
Good morning, Blake and Aaron.
What's going on?
Fantabulous.
Yeah.
All right.
What you got for us this morning?
Yeah, well, the government has revealed yesterday in a very, very interesting release of information that Cuban migrants are costing the Cayman Islands government millions of dollars.
Millions.
Yes, I guess I'm not surprised. But in 2020, it was 1.4 million spent. This figure is coming from the Cayman Islands Customs and Border Control Service. And in 2019, 1.6 million. And in 2021, we spent almost a million, 946,000. And then it looks like 2022 is going to probably surpass all of those numbers because we have had an influx of Cuban migrants coming in. So it's almost at $500,000 already. And here we are only in the month of May.
And what is that money being spent on?
So mostly housing, but everything related to the management of them. So, they do have to support them when they come here. So obviously they have no jobs and they don't have the right to work. So, housing is a big one. And there are lots of, I understand they give them food vouchers and I guess some money to have, as well as.
No wonder they're coming here.
So yeah, it's probably not a bad situation.
So how many migrants do we have right now?
So,
Do we know?
did they release those figures? I don't think they've updated
Or
it.
how many? I'd like to, like what is it per migrant they're spending money on?
You want the breakdown?
I want
Yeah,
some
we
breakdown
didn't.
of
We
this.
didn't get
$1
the. we didn't
million.
get the break- Yeah, we didn't get the breakdown, but we currently have 173. That much we do know. So 173 migrants at this time, with more coming weekly, pretty much. So yeah, a bit of a tricky situation. So we'll keep an eye on that. 7 Mile Beach, public beach volleyball courts are closed for refurbishment. So if you are a volleyball beach person, please hang tight while they refurbish the beach. It is, gated off, so it should be obvious that it's no entry point as they work in making it better.
Nice.
Already?
And the wife and son of former Haitian senator are being deported from Jamaica. So they are alleged to have had some involvement as an accomplice in the assassination of the Haitian president Jovenel Moïse. I think I'm pronouncing that right. So they're actually being deported from Jamaica after they were denied refugee status. So the mom is Udumi John, 38 years old, and she's got a 17-year-old and a 19-year-old. And they were taken into custody with the former senator and charged after they were found during a police operation in St. Elizabeth in January. So the ex-senator was extradited to the U.S. earlier in the month, and now his family members who had applied for refugee status have been denied. And they said that they will file an appeal, but Kingston has issued a removal order. So we'll see. Sounds like they're going to the U.S. to join Papa.
Wow.
Yeah.
By the way, I just did the breakdown of the $1 million divided by 173. That's only $6,000 per Cuban migrant. So
Well, keep in mind that
that's a lot, actually.
that's not, well, we don't know how many that would have been for like last year, for
All
example.
right. So my point is,
So-
it actually isn't very much per. You know, if you
Yeah.
It
think,
all adds up if
if
there's
you
a
think
lot
about
of people.
food and housing and people that manage them and all that.
Yeah. It all adds up in the end.
And I mean, I think the biggest thing is it uses resources that would otherwise be utilized for other things. So,
Mhm.
you know,
Flying
right
them back, probably repatriating, that sort of thing as well.
I don't know if that's included. I mean, we can ask for a breakdown in terms of what that includes, but I don't think that includes the repatriation, to be honest. But we can certainly inquire.
I mean, they're not trying to get here. They're trying to get to the U.S., right?
Oh, no, Aaron. They're actually trying to come here now.
Oh, they are.
Yeah. Anywhere but Cuba, pretty much.
I
And
just thought they kept missing.
um,
They were so close. I would.
based on,
Wherever the boat lands,
I
don't
would
know.
end up going all the way around the same country I left from and end up on the other side and think I made it.
no, based on the feedback that we've gotten from them, Cayman is a decent choice. They don't necessarily mind coming here now if they can't make it to the U.S. So the U.S. is not the holy grail that it used to once be, especially because the U.S. has had policy changes that have not necessarily been favorable to Cubans.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They're opening up the flights though again.
Yeah.
They'll try their luck. And if you are a tourism stipend recipient, please know that payments will be dispersed on Monday, May the 23rd this month. And you also need to start preparing yourself to come off of the program as it will be ending in June.
Okay.
Yep.
Party's over.
Wow.
Yes. There you go.
Essentially.
Has to be sometime.
Yeah.
We all have to move on someday. Just
Uh-huh.
waiting for the rest of us to move on.
That's true. All right, Sandy. Tomorrow,
Thank you guys.
catch
Yes.
you for the Friday headlines. But right now, you can
Absolutely.
catch Sandy on Bobo 89.1 FM. Have a good day.
Hey, thank you.
All right.
All right, folks. Buenos dias. Let me make sure I go ahead and click in to Bobo so that I don't forget to do that like I did yesterday. And then we're going to send out our links. We're going to make sure the phone's working. There's a lot of multitasking going on in the mornings, but good morning to everybody. So we are connected and we'll just hit the intro music as we go live. 34 seconds. Yeah, my poor little morning brain is like, I just woke up. Give me a break. And I'm like, no, get to work. Whew. Where's my crack? I need a whip. Let me just send out my links. Buenos dias. All right, here we go.
Peppermint, sorrel, ginger, beaver grass, or English. Get it ready. Your morning tea just got hotter.
Ooh, honey child.
On the cold, hard truth. Bobo 89.1 and Cayman's #1 talk show are bringing you morning talk like no one else. Monday Rewind, Impact Wednesdays, Caribbean Connections, and much more. Don't miss a beat with what's happening in the local community. Just keep sipping your tea.
What a mess.
Here's your host, live and direct from the Cayman Islands, Sandy Hill.
Good morning, beautiful folks. How is everyone doing? Is it my imagination or did I just see a little bit of a lag on the online stream? Good morning, radio listeners. Bobo 89.1 FM, Cayman's #1 source for news and talk and everything related. There's tons of other shows, I should say, on Bobo. I saw someone, can't remember who that was now, but they were advertising that they have a health and wellness show. And I thought, ooh, la la, that sounds nice. So make sure that you check it out. I had a caller yesterday who said, Sandy, I love your show. Now I'm able to listen to it every single morning on Bobo. And in addition to that, I'm also able to, catch the rest of the shows that come on, and especially the news. And she was sharing with me how much she absolutely loves the news segments. She loves getting Al Jazeera News and listening to what she says is unbiased news. So it's good that you've got choices. I think choices are always important for sure. So good morning to one and good morning to all. Mhm. So we have some guests that we're trying to get lined up for you guys. So hopefully, this young man, Oli Rush, who actually swam around the island. Um, we're getting him on hopefully in a couple days. He's just resting up. I saw some people commenting about, oh, what's the big deal? And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? For someone to, for whatever reason, to, circle around this island, swimming, ocean swimming, like, wide open ocean, is amazing. That is, I take my hats off to him. Not many people could probably do that. That requires a lot of physical and, more importantly, mental endurance as well. So, congratulations to him. He arrived safely the other day, and to a crowd cheering him on. And of course, it was for good cause as part of Plastic Free Cayman's initiative to really care more about our environment, and especially, our ocean environment, which contains a lot of plastic. So hopefully he'll be joining us soon. He's resting up. After he'll tell us, I'm sure, all about it. But after what he's gone through, the ambulance was there waiting for him because they need to make sure. I think he was taken to the hospital for a few hours. They just need to make sure that all his vitals are okay. Um, that's a pretty stressful. That's a pretty stressful goal to undertake, swimming around the Cayman Islands. So I think maybe the following morning he was released from the hospital, and at the moment he's just resting up, trying to get his his just strength back, I would think. So yeah, we were hoping to have him on the program, and hurricane season is quickly approaching. So we're going to have some hurricane preparedness things going on here for all of you. And big shout out to some other listeners to the program as well. Read your message about the radio. Oh gosh. Oh again. Okay, I'll let Chuck know. Yeah, whatever this is, it's definitely outside of my remit. Um, it's something that they have to do, and I'm not exactly sure what that is, but they'll get it sorted out. I think Chuck is mhm. Okay. Yeah, it's not anything differently that I do. Like I said, I'm a real stickler for processes and just leaving things as is, because it's like, don't touch anything on my board. This is the area that nobody's allowed to come near. So pretty much everything stays the same. So I'm sure Chuck will get that sorted. Just give us a few minutes, folks. People say you sound like a robot. I'm like, ooh, I need to start doing the robot dance. So let's give him a few minutes to do that before we jump into any real conversation this morning. Give me 1 second to our viewers on YouTube and Facebook. I'm just going to actually turn on some lighting. There's a ton of things in the morning that I've got to do. I feel like I need a morning checklist now. All right, so I've got a mental checklist, but I think, like, maybe I just need to have a big board that says, uh, do this, do that, robot moves. Um, grab your water, go to the office, and turn this way and turn that way, and then okay. So good morning. Let's see who is joining us here. We've got over 200 people on the live stream already for the morning. Buenos dias to all of you, beautiful, lovely people. It's a gorgeous day in the Cayman Islands. Um, so I think Chuck has sorted it out. Give me the thumbs up if it sounds good. We need to probably figure out what's causing that, because whatever it is, yeah, it's definitely not on my end. So Chuck, let's chat later. We'll get it sorted. And thank you guys for always letting me know, because as you can appreciate, I'm actually not listening to the radio. So love it that you guys are on it. And isn't that wonderful? Global 89.1 is offering this service to the community, and you guys are actually utilizing it. And this is what I was telling you. I had so many callers yesterday. I had someone who is an educator, and they were like, Sandy, I'm listening to the program. I love the topic this morning. And I have to tell you that I agree with pretty much everything that you're saying. Um, we try to be respectful in how we express ourselves. Sometimes things are very, very emotional and we all get a bit emotive. And believe me when I tell you, there are certain things that are extremely close to, your heart. And it can be difficult to express those thoughts. But I try to, and I hear people talking to me all the time. Oh my God, Sandy, why do people do this? And, da, da, da. And so I take a lot of that feedback that people have shared with me, and I try to communicate it to others. Because supposedly, according to 23andMe, I've got the gift of gab, right? Not afraid to talk, and I'm a-okay with it. And so I think that that's my responsibility. I'm here on air. I've got a platform that a lot of people listen to as well. So yesterday, I was doing my usual little scrolling around the place on social media, and I saw a comment that kind of made me pause. And so I thought that I would share it with you guys. Now, I'm in these groups and a few social media groups, and I'm always careful that when I share stuff in the groups, I don't actually identify like who the person is. But thousands of people are in these groups, so there are times when I don't even see the group message myself, but other people will screenshot it and send it to me. It's just social media. Nothing you do on social media you should consider private. So, you comment, it's not private. You, even on your own page, you put up something, people are like, ooh, I got people sneaking around on my page. And I'm just like, listen, there's no such thing. It's consider it public, even if it's like oh, it's only meant for my friends. Consider it public. One other person knows in this world, consider everybody else knows. That's just the world of social media, folks. So I've learned a long time ago that even in private conversations on WhatsApp, if you don't want it repeated, you probably shouldn't say it because it's just the nature of how people are. You send a voice note, they forward your voice note, and everybody else hears your voice note. Now, there are times when you are trying to have a private conversation, and it's very, very obvious that you're trying to have a private conversation. My apologies. And, I think that those situations should be respected, but, when it's a group situation, just forget it. We saw it, remember, with Mario Rankin when he sent this message about the governor and, during the whole COVID pandemic. And it went around like wild rice. And his first thing was, who sent this around this group? I'm going to investigate and find it out. It's like, why bother? Like, that's not the kind of thing you say in a group that you don't mean to go viral. And the more inflammatory it is, or, the more it's going to go viral. So just rest assured that that's just how it works. But this comment that I saw made me pause because it was kind of reflective of the conversation that we were having yesterday. So listen to this comment. I'm going to read it to you guys and then I'm going to tell you because I think people do better when they know better, right? And so yesterday, a part of the conversation was about culturally, who we are, what we are here in the Cayman Islands, what Cayman kind is supposed to be about. It's not a word that we as Caymanians coined, but it was a DOT effort. I think it's a good term in a lot of ways, right? Although there's been a little bit of backlash because people think that Cayman kind means Cayman stupid. And so if I say to you as a visitor in this country, whether you're here, as a tourist or you're here working, I say to you, you know what, here in the Cayman Islands, we take offense to XYZ. I think that that's a good opportunity for you as an individual to try to learn a little bit more about our culture and our feelings and our sentiments. It's kind of like the thing with the Westin. Remember when the Westin last month had up those signs that said beach closed? You know, Ironically, as luck would have it, I recently had the opportunity. I attended an event, and the manager there at the Westin was at the event, and I'm trying to remember his Jim. Anyway, he gave me his business card. He said, anything at all, you call me. And I said, okay. Put it in my drawer full of business cards. Just dashed it away. And when I saw this sign, I thought, I have two options. Number one, I can post it on social media like everybody else was doing, and definitely it's going to go viral, and everybody's going to be cursing out the Westin. And, there you go. There's that. Or I can pick up the phone, I can call Jim, and I can say, hey, Jim, yeah, you've got a bit of a situation here that's brewing on social media. Jim, sorry, um, Bauer, I think is his last name. So I said, hey, Jim, you've got a bit of a situation. He wasn't even aware that this had gone viral. He's like, what? And I said, yeah, honey child. And it's gone viral already. Then when CMR puts it up, y'all claim that it goes super viral. So I'm like, I'm just letting you know that this is coming. And he said, wow, oh my gosh, he had no clue. And we had a conversation about what was wrong with the signage. He explained that they'd been using him for years, what their intent was, why it was up, because it was a private event. And I said to him, okay, in the climate that we live in here in the Cayman Islands, right? Any sort of signage that is trying to cut off beach access ways, beach closed, this is a hot button topic. I mean, let's just be honest, right? Caymanians take offense to anybody thinking that they can claim any portion of the beach because we don't have public beaches. The beaches in the Cayman Islands are private, and there's been a lot of debate and lawsuits and confusion about the high water mark and all this kind of stuff. And so it's something that gets under the skin of Caymanians very, very easily. So he was very, very open to having a conversation about it. And immediately he says, well, what do you think the sign should be? And he actually took feedback. I said, if what you're saying is that these signs are up there to close off for an event, why don't you just get signs that say that as opposed to beach closed with no explanation and then allowing people to kind of jump to conclusions? So he said, absolutely. And then I said, now to address this public firestorm that is brewing, what I would then suggest you do is to actually address it directly. Let's do a quick interview and I'll stick it up on the platform. And he did that, folks. Immediately, thousands of people were able to, see the interview and, hear exactly what his explanation was. And more importantly, let me show you the signage. They expedited getting these signs reprinted. And it says area reserved. I can't read the fine print, but I think it says something for private beach function or whatever. And this is much more indicative of, they're just trying to say to people, don't necessarily encroach on this area because we've got an event this evening. And we don't want a lounge chair next to a wedding or dinner or whatever. So good morning to Miss Virtuous. Good morning to Rita. Wee Wee's here. Uhan is here. Chantel. Olivia Marshall from North Carolina. Chantel talking about the Cuban situation. We'll talk about that a little bit later on this morning. Good morning to John. Louise got it locked from Detroit. Diamond Princess is here. Morning, Miss Morna. Amjad, we have not seen you in a minute. Hope you're doing well. Alita is here. Evelyn Luis says good morning from the Bay Islands of Honduras. Hey, Luis went home to the Bay Islands. Beautiful. Kathy says, party over. Maybe they should cancel your permit and send you home and replace you. Who are we talking about, Kathy? Juliet, good morning. Andine's got it locked from the Planks Nation. Miss Ann is also here. Sabrina, we got that sorted. Don't worry, Sabrina. Yes, all sorted. Okay, so Felicia. So anyway, the Westin was very, very receptive. And so I always think that at the end of the day, that this is what you try to do. You try to explain to people. Because it's easy to just get upset. And sometimes people don't know why you're upset. They're like, oh my God, what's going on here? And so sometimes you have to take a minute and say, this is what's bothering me and this is why. And, Jim was receptive, right? So lots of you have been upset about, hotels and resorts who no longer welcoming you to their shores as they did during COVID. and you in part kept them afloat. You allowed, some workers to be able to, even if it wasn't a full complement of staff, some workers were able to stay on, and some of you were flossing every single weekend at these staycation resorts and, oh, I don't have a timeshare here, but I can still hang out here. And there's been a lot of messages that have been in circulation on social media about how these facilities are no longer as welcoming as they used to be. Let's talk about that. But before we get into that conversation, listen to this post yesterday. So this person said the following. I'm at the Houston airport on my way back to Cayman. I was asked at check-in for my Cayman status paper. Never been asked for this before because there's a stamp in my passport that states the holder is a Caymanian and may enter and remain in the Cayman Islands at will. It took 6 United Airlines staff members to figure out the meaning of this before they would let me through. Then the person goes on, someone says that, that, that the airlines have no right to ask you for your papers if you have a stamp of status in your passport. It says different if you're on a permit. Yes, ask for proof, just jealous that they can't live here. And then someone else responded to that, which is the one that was most interesting. And they said, in their defense, the Cayman immigration rules are not very straightforward. So I don't think they know what they're looking at. Still, not our responsibility to educate them. So that was a little bit confusing because to me, this stamp and the passport is pretty crystal clear. I mean, it's one sentence. The holder is a Caymanian. Okay, that's like saying the holder is an American. You could almost stop reading there. It goes on to say, and may enter and remain in the Cayman Islands at will. So here's why I'm mentioning this, right? The response to that, not the actual post itself, but the response by someone else who said, oh, in their defense, the Cayman Islands immigration rules are not very straightforward. That's the kind of thing that offends people, and I'll tell you why. 6 United Airline employees couldn't figure out a simple sentence. Whose fault is that? Well, I mean, it is very simple. But then for you to have a response to blame the Cayman Islands government and blame the Cayman Islands immigration, there will be persons who will look at that and go, what does this have to do with the Cayman Islands government? Do we have somewhat complex and convoluted immigration rules? A little bit, just like every other place in the world. If you've ever dealt with immigration anywhere else, believe me when I tell you that immigration law is not simple. I have dealt with US immigration, so I would know. The problem I find is that a lot of people come to the Cayman Islands and they have never had any other experience dealing with any other immigration system in their lives. So this is the first time they've had to apply for a work permit, or this is the first time they've finally gotten PR, or they need to know these rules and whatever. So they're traversing the world of immigration and they find it confusing, complex, and all this sort of good stuff. Sometimes that's why you have to hire a professional to assist you with it or to do it for you. And they complain. The first thought is, oh, I'm going to complain about this. Well, try going through any kind of immigration processes in your own country. Believe me, I mean, I did it years ago in the mid 90s, and I can tell you that US immigration is like, you have to have a law degree to read any of their rules and understand what the heck they're saying. Right? Long lines around buildings and up the street in Tampa, Miami, all over the place. So it's not unlike anywhere else in the world. Yes, it can be complex and it can be confusing, and there might be different rules that apply to different situations. But the real question is, how is that a defense in this particular situation when it had nothing to do with the rules? This isn't about the United Airlines staff or the employee staff trying to figure out what the rules are to enter the Cayman Islands. This is about, you've got a stamp in your passport that is pretty crystal clear. So I don't know why they were questioning this. This person said that she's never had them do this before. She's never had it done before. And so she was confused as to why. But then it took 6 of them to be able to figure out the meaning. Maybe United Airlines isn't hiring the smartest people is all I can say. Because for 6 people to figure out that a 1-sentence stamp that says you may enter and remain in the Cayman Islands at will, that pretty much means what it says, right? So I think that a lot of times people don't know. when they're offending you, right? So they'll say when they say things like, "Oh, in the Cayman Islands, your laws are so convoluted and so stupid," and then it's like, "Mm, not quite." They're I can assure you they're far less complex than a lot of other places. And having said that, this has nothing to do with that. This doesn't even have anything to do with the rules. This has to do with a stamp is in my passport. Is this stamp crystal clear or not? And in this instance, I'm going to give it to immigration that the stamp is darn near crystal clear. I'm not sure how you can get it confused. JD, good morning to you. Are you joining us from East End or North Side this morning? Anne says that the swim was a fantastic achievement by Oli. Yes, I'm looking forward to hopefully speaking with him. Sabrina, I think we should be good. Good morning to Robert. I see Jared wants to join the conversation. Jared, your microphone is good this morning?
Morning, Sandy. How you doing today?
Yes, good. How are you?
It's doing pretty good. I was calling about the thing when you get to a kiosk and you have to show your passport.
Oh, yeah.
It seems to be a prevalent issue because I've experienced that.
So this
Oh.
is coming into Cayman.
Coming into Cayman,
Mhm.
and people say, okay, what does your passport say? Usually they don't understand what it means with that stamp. So I don't know if it's the government not communicating the
Mhm.
process and procedure. And I've also experienced some airlines not having the proper customs documents that you have to provide to the custom agent in Cayman, which
Hmm.
which is a bit weird. I don't know who's in charge of it, but
Hmm.
and
Well, listen to me. I don't know because I got to be honest. Only recently, I've taken a trip. So, and normally I fly Cayman Airways into Miami. I do need to start going elsewhere in the world. Let's be honest here, right? I actually dislike Miami, but um, at some point, the Cayman Islands government needs to automate this process. So the other day when I went into the U.S., you no longer fill out any paperwork. Mhm.
true,
You
yeah.
just walk in and go about your business. In fact, I don't know what happened to the customs people. Were they even there? So we did the immigration checkpoint, and over the weekend I went to Miami. And when I got to the immigration checkpoint, we went into a gate. I'm still trying to figure out what gate that was because that was the fastest I have ever gone through immigration in my life going into the U.S. Like literally, there are 4 little kiosks. It was a very small gate that we went into. No lines. Nobody was there. It was an evening flight. And he just looked at me, said, "Take off your mask," took a picture and said, "Okay, good day." And I was like, that's it. I think he asked, "How much money do you have over $10,000?" And I said, "I wish." Over $10,000 shopping money. I wish I had that. And that was it. So it was super fast. There's no documentation to fill out. I think that the one constructive criticism I would say in terms of immigration and CBC is we need to automate the process. So there has to be some way that we can even do pre-clearance of individuals who are going and coming, through our country. And I get it from a customs perspective, and I know the minister was speaking about this during his interview on Tuesday. I get that they're trying to get their little couple dollars from us in terms of customs duties, so we have to fill those out. But wouldn't it be fantastic if we had a process where as I'm in Miami shopping, I could be scanning receipts and uploading that to an online portal and filling all of that out before I even get on the plane? I mean, some of us like that. And, I get it that some people are now going to complain that, "Oh, Sandy, not everybody has a computer." But in this day and age, you better have yourself a smartphone or something because every system, banking, everything is being automated to some extent. So it would be good if we kind of move the technology forward
I
just a little bit.
I noticed they had a couple kiosks. I haven't tried it,
Mhm.
but I think the next time I come in, I'll try it.
Yeah, they offered
And
when I came in, they're like, "Oh, do you wanna try the kiosk?" And I was like,
but to be
not
honest
in the
though,
mood."
I do like meeting custom agents because usually some are my friends as I went to
Yes. So
school with. So it's
you like the
always
personal touch.
I like the little Caymanian touch. So,
Yeah,
but they do need to kind of
yeah.
streamline it. Like maybe go to the agent just to verify if something security feature or something. But
Mhm.
yeah, they do need to streamline it.
Yeah. And of course, now when you come in, they're asking you for, you need to have certain things. So you need to show
Yeah,
your vaccination records.
vaccination,
You need to show your COVID LFT test.
Cayman
And
travel, doc,
yeah,
authorization.
right. Your
Uh,
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Now the interesting thing is I need to speak to someone at Cayman Travel because I logged into the portal
Hmm.
and I was not able to see my declaration, which is supposed to be good for 3 months. Have you
It,
had this experience?
it can be
Where is it?
a technical thing trying to navigate the Cayman travel website, but it
But if
it
you have
just
a
takes a couple of
declaration,
tries. It, it,
if you
it
no, but if you have an existing declaration, that should be pretty clear. Like, here's your declaration. And I couldn't, for the world of me, the young lady at the Cayman Airways counter in Miami was looking. She's like, well, normally I see dots over here and I don't see it for your login. I'm like, So I had to go back to WhatsApp. Thankfully, I
you
had the
have
foresight the first time I got it
to save
to
it,
actually save it on my phone.
Sunday,
Yes, because when I travel, I always like if something like that, my COVID, whatever, I'll save it, send it to my husband. Here, you have a copy. I got a copy just in case. It's on your phone and my phone. So I actually had to go back through my chat conversations with Marlon to find it.
it was sent to me via email.
Mhm.
I never ever checked back in unless
So
I
you haven't
went
logged in to see if it's still there.
no. I just I know it was sent to me by email and just saved it like that. I didn't
Mhm.
log back in. You only log back in my opinion, to get an additional authorization once that time has
Hmm.
expired, the 3 month
Well,
thing.
according to the airline staff, it should have been my current declaration should have been there. So I don't know. But Aliano says, good morning. When I was traveling back from London last October, I had a minor issue as my Caymanian passport was expired, but I carried it anyway. But Cayman put but back in Cayman, it was no hassle. So
That
I'm
don't that
assuming, Aliano, did you have another travel document? Because
she would have
normally
had to.
6 months out, they tell you you need to go through the process of renewing your passport because you shouldn't be able to travel on an expired passport ever. And going into the US, I do not believe they will permit you to come in if your travel documents have expired. So
I've heard.
these are the things that we need to be. I know a lot of us are kind of trying to get back to normal now in terms of traveling, but folks, check your travel documents, make sure you got current passports and whatever else you need in place. Anne Smith says, don't use the kiosk when you come in at the airport because you get stuck behind the tourist in line. It's much faster to go into the
Yeah,
Caymanian/resident line.
it's true. It's
Miss
true.
Anne, when I was sitting there on Monday at the line, it occurred to me that there's only 2 lines for Caymanian/residents, and all the rest were for tourists.
I,
And I thought to myself, I know we're a dwindling number. I know Caymanians are, we're like the crab now, folks. There's not that many of us left. I get it, endangered species and all that, but we only get 2 lines out of how many? At least add
you,
1 more because our line was the longest and the slowest moving.
Sandy, when you go to Jamaica, as okay, you when you go to Jamaica, at least half the lines in the Jamaica airport are for Jamaicans. And I
Mhm.
don't mean to make it an issue. Sorry, that's my work phone. As I was saying,
You want to make sure you don't miss any work messages, huh?
I tell you, when you go to Jamaica, half the lines are for Jamaicans.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
come, get an
CDC.
extra line. We need another
Yeah, at
at
least 1
least
more.
3 for one for Cayman, bra, little Cayman, and
Well, I
let's
don't think we need to go that far, but at least give us
I
1
just
more line
joking.
that says Caymanians, because it's not just Caymanians, it's Caymanian/residents,
Yes,
PR holders and whatever else. And so, yeah, it's just not enough. I was sitting there going, my God, this line is so slow. And y'all know I hate to wait. Ooh, I am the least patient person this side of the Mississippi. Mm,
listen,
mm,
you're
mm.
not the only one. But kind of like, what going on with this? Come man, come, people got tasted.
I know. I'm like, I got work to do. Marciano says most of the Owen Roberts International Airport staff are expats. United American Airlines staff are cheap labor employees. So this person was speaking about they were in Salt Lake or whatever. That was not here. But to pick up on that point just a little bit,
It's true. I don't know some of them
I
people can
noticed that at
comprehend.
Cayman Airways in Miami, the counter, I didn't see any Caymanian faces when I came back. And you know what? Again, this may sound like a minor thing, but can I tell you, it's so nice at your national airline to see a few faces at Cayman Airways. Marilyn Phillips was not there. So, of course, Marilyn, I wasn't able to see her. She needs to take time off, I guess, sometimes. But yeah,
It's
can
the
we see one or
Caymanian
two
touch, Sandy.
Caymanians?
It's the Caymanian
Remember,
touch.
remember back in the day, man, we used to
Mm-hmm.
have who was at the counter? Susan, Marilyn, like all these people at the counter. It's so good. Like they knew who you were. You were not just another like, oh
Number.
hi Sandy. Did it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But listen, I want to give a big shout out to a few people this morning. So big shout out to Tracy Ross, who works for Cayman Airways as a stewardess. So I went to Miami on, what day was that? Friday afternoon. Yes, I'm just going out for the weekend, quick in and out trip. And I got there that night, and lo and behold, I forgot my medication. Chill. So I was like, oh, darn. Well, I'm going to be here for like 2 nights, 3 nights, whatever. Can I go without it? So I messaged Dr. Sydney, speed dial, Dr. Sydney. And I said, Dr. Sydney, guess what? I forgot my blood pressure meds. And he's like, you need to either go to an emergency care or urgent care, whatever. You need to go see a doctor in Miami and get a prescription for the next couple of days, or you need to get your pills. And I was like, how am I going to do that? Because you can't just waltz into the pharmacy in Miami and be like, can I get 4 blood pressure tablets to last me a couple of days? So I was getting a little bit frantic, and I reached out to a few people. Anybody coming in? Because I knew it was a long weekend. Maybe some people are flying in like Saturday morning. So Tracy volunteered as a stewardess that she would liaise with my husband, get the tablets, take them to Miami, and make sure that they were at the counter. So big shout out, Tracy. Thank you so much. And then Marilyn grabbed them from her. It was like a little relay, everybody passing the the blood pressure tablets along. So then Marilyn grabbed them from her, and I was able to, big shout out to another friend who drove me to the airport in Miami so that I didn't have to try to sort out parking with their hectic system there. And so it was a concerted effort. Big shout out to Susan Young. She assisted as well. And I got those blood pressure tablets because apparently, just FYI, although it's a very small dosage, there's something, I don't know what they call it medically, but if you are taking blood pressure tablets, folks, you have to be very, very consistent in how you take them. Because if you miss even 1 or 2 days, it can actually cause your pressure to escalate very, very quickly and at a very dangerous level. So it's even worse than people who may not even be on medication, because you do have it controlled with medication. You want to ensure that you are very, very consistent with that. So Dr. Sydney said, you don't have a choice. You need to make sure over the next couple of days that you're taking your meds. And that to me is Cayman kind. Only in the Cayman Islands could I message somebody and be like, anybody coming to Miami tonight, tomorrow, and then have someone step up and say, yep, I'll help you out, Sandy. I'll get it to you. Met up with my husband, grab the tablets. Here's Soka. She's on here. Marilyn, she says, right here for you. Don't want your pressure going up in Miami. So it's just amazing. Like stuff like that. That's when I love being a Caymanian. I'm just
know what I liked about Cayman Airways? The stewardesses. I don't know where they always find them girls that's on there, but they always look nice.
Ladies and gentlemen.
But I talk about
too.
the ladies always look on fleet. They always look on. I said, where they find these? Because they were always they had that corporate Cayman look. Ambassadors. Where you're like, hey Jared, things like that. Yeah. So I always looked forward to the stewardesses.
Yes, yeah.
Flight attendants.
No, I mean, and this is, listen, this is Caymanians are some of the most amazing people in the world. I say it over and over again. Do we have a few bad seeds here and there? Yeah, we do. But by and large, our people are friendly. They're helpful. They'll go out of the way for like total strangers. They will help you. That's just Cayman kind. That's who we are. So I think that's absolutely amazing. Thank you, Soka. She is amazing. I hope that she never leaves Cayman Airways. The day that she leaves, I think, Soka, correct me if I'm wrong, but are you the last remaining Caymanian at the Cayman Airways counter in Miami? Can we hire some more? I remember when my girlfriend Melanie used to work there. So she was doing, I think, her master's there in Miami, and so she worked part-time at the counter. And it's a great opportunity for Caymanians who are going to school to work at the airline, and they can work their little shift and whatever. I don't think it's too hectic in terms of the scheduling. But Cayman Airways, hire some more Caymanians in Miami, please. I'm begging you. I don't know what's going on in Tampa. I haven't been to Tampa in a while. So James says, good morning, Sandy. Love and respect always. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much. Soka says, yes, child. Send me some. She's the last standing Mohican. The last standing Caymanian in Miami. Wow. What a mess. I'm pretty sure we have Caymanians who actually live in Miami as well. Now, I
We
don't know.
do. They in Tampa. They're there.
Breaks my heart. Celine says, no place on God's green earth like our Cayman Islands. Cayman Airways is such a symbolic pride for me. And it really is.
It is.
I remember back in the day, when I was interviewing Mr. Norman, that was week before last, I think.
Norman Bodden.
Mr. Norman Bodden, and he was talking about how Cayman Airways got its start, whatever. I remember when Cayman Airways first started going to Tampa. Early 80s, I was in Tampa. So when I first moved to Tampa, here I am as a 9-year-old with this really weird accent, Caymanian accent. And the kids were like, are you speaking a foreign language? They couldn't understand me, Joe. I was like, what? I'm not speaking a foreign language? And they were like, we don't know what the hell you're saying. So, as kids, you make adjustments very, very quickly because you want to fit in and all this kind of stuff. So, but I remember when Cayman Airways started flying, because when you first said, oh, I'm from the Cayman Islands, 99.9% of Americans at the time in Tampa had no clue where the Cayman Islands were. They never heard of it. And they're like, oh, is that Jamaica? Is that the Bahamas? Apparently, that's only 2 places outside of Cuba that exist in the Caribbean for them at the time. And I'd be like, the Bahamas? I said, no. I'm like, at least we're close physically to Jamaica, but no, we're not Jamaica. They were just so confused. And then Cayman Airways entered the market and all the commercials would go up. And the slogan was, those who fly us love us. Oh my God. So it went from people having no clue where Cayman was or what the Cayman Islands even was, to all of a sudden, every time you say, oh, I'm from the Cayman Islands, they start singing that slogan, that little jingle.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't know what's more annoying, you not knowing it or you singing this jingle off key. But Lavana, good morning. She says, just logging in. What did I miss? KX. We were just singing the praises of some of the KX staff, Lavana, and asking Cayman Airways to hire more Caymanians at the various gates overseas. Now, let me share this bit of information, which some of you may find super interesting. Apparently, Cayman Airways had a charter flight, it looks like. Let me just see here. They had a charter flight from, I want to say it was Salt Lake on yesterday. Let me just pull up this information. Yeah, so KX 8741 from Salt Lake to Georgetown came back in full to the brim with passengers. Somebody said, good to see Cal is out there on the hustle. So this was amazing. And, that MAX 8 is being put to good use. That's all I can tell you, which is good. That's why we got them, because they can travel longer distances. They're more energy efficient, etc. So I got a notification on Tuesday that KX 8740 from Georgetown to Salt Lake was actually going out. And somebody was like, Salt Lake City, Utah? What's that about? So I checked my little sources and they said it's probably just a charter flight. Cayman Airways, going. And lo and behold, it came back yesterday completely full to the brim. So check out this. There is the flight radar information. So congratulations to Cayman Airways utilizing that Boeing 737 MAX 8 to its fullest capacity, adding new routes and destinations, and making money, I hope. So that's a good thing, because let's not forget now, folks, that the airline business has taken a significant hit during the COVID pandemic, and recovery is not going to be something that's going to happen overnight. Now, having said that, I can tell you that Caymanians and others are traveling like nobody's business. They are all over the place. All flights this weekend were pretty much full, because I was trying to come back Monday evening instead of Monday morning. And they were like, no, Sandy, that flight is full to the brim.
Mhm.
Yes, honey child. Even the one that I was on, I think was pretty full as well. So, yeah, people are back traveling. Wear your mask when you're in the airport. I know that in the US, they're a little bit more liberal and some airlines don't require it, but I think it's in your best interest, folks, to wear your mask. Protect yourself. And by extension, if everybody took that, you'd be protecting others as well. So, you've got a lateral flow test, but even days after returning, continue to lateral flow test because sometimes you're positive and it takes a couple days to show up. So, you want to ensure that you're still isolating yourself. And by the way, in the United States of America, COVID death have now reached a $1 million dead. People have died in the US because of COVID. And it's the numbers are increasing again. So they're on the surge yet again. And them being on the surge actually means that a number of people are taking the viral pill to try to compensate for whatever illnesses that they may have. So COVID is still very much a thing. It's still killing people, and we want to make sure that everyone is as safe as you can. Here's one article that says, haven't had COVID yet. It could be more than just luck. So now they're looking at why some people are getting reinfected with the coronavirus and are a lot more maybe susceptible to actually getting it. In other news, CDC is investigating 180 cases of kids with acute hepatitis of an unknown cause.
Mm.
And did you see this one? I don't think we put it up yet on our
The
platform.
monkey one?
Yes.
Listen, I tell you, I don't know what's going on, but
Monkeypox has been discovered in Jamaica.
you
Mm.
serious? Lord have his mercy.
Yes. So there is a resurgence. Massachusetts had their first case for 2022 of monkeypox infection.
I think there's a couple cases in Canada, as a matter of fact.
Mhm.
I don't know what's going
So
on.
I believe, let me just double check something. I think this was in Jamaica. Yes. No. My apologies. No. It's Massachusetts. My apologies.
Okay.
So I think Jamaica News had it up, but the state of Massachusetts on Wednesday reported a very rare case of monkeypox in a man who had recently traveled to Canada. So of course, you guys are very well aware with traveling. It's easy. Jump on a plane.
Mhm.
You're in close quarters with other people. Now, I don't know much about monkeypox, so let's read up on it a little bit. So there's been a handful of cases that are reported in the UK, Portugal, Spain, and the US and Canada. And here's what they know so far. So monkeypox is usually a mild virus that causes fever as well as distinctive bumpy rash. There are two main strains, the Congo strain,
Mm.
which is more severe with up to 10% mortality. Damn.
Okay.
That's a lot. And the West African strain, which has a fatality rate of 1%. So the UK infections so far have been the West African strain. Good thing.
That's a good one.
Yes. So they say here that historically there have been very few cases exported. It's only happened 8 times in the past before this year. But this year, they seem to be having a few cases. So the World Health Organization says that the virus is transmitted mainly from people to people from wild animals such as rodents and primates, but human to human transmission is also possible. So human to human, if you come in contact with lesions, bodily fluids, respiratory droplets, and contaminated materials such as bedding. Eating inadequately cooked meat and other products of infected animals is also a possible risk factor. So be careful, folks. Right now, they're saying that the number of cases in the UK have no known connection to each other, and this is why it's puzzling and concerning for health experts. They had the first reported infection on May the 6th from someone who had recently traveled to Nigeria.
Mm.
So they're watching this for possible wider transmission. The UK Health Security Agency has alerted people that the recent cases were predominantly among men who also identified as being gay or bisexual and advised caution. So that's kind of interesting.
That's very interesting.
Yes, I'm not sure what the link is there exactly.
Yeah, I don't know what they're trying to allude to because
Yeah,
anybody could catch it at the end
yeah,
of the day.
but maybe they're more connected than they think. So they're trying to find a connection, but I don't know. So So here's what they say: monkeypox is in the same family as smallpox, which was eradicated by vaccines in 1980. Thank God for vaccines. The smallpox vaccine also protects against monkeypox, but has been phased out. So according to Dr. Anne Rumian, an epidemiologist professor at UCLA in California, it's the winding down of those vaccine campaigns that led to jump in monkeypox cases. So
They just
don't
need to bring
panic.
it back. They just need to bring back the smallpox
The
vaccine,
vaccine. Yeah, it's
and you're
interesting.
good.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting though that you can wind down a vaccine?
What did she mean by wind down? Meaning
Like
like
they no
stop,
longer,
distribute, or
yeah, they no
maintenance?
longer vaccinate people for smallpox because it's been
Why
eradicated.
that? But a virus can always resurge. That's the thing. Or not a virus, a variant of a
Well,
smallpox can
I think,
resurface.
well, I guess the whole idea is that you can, um, completely eradicate a virus. It's happened before. And so once you've eradicated it and no one in the human population has it, then that's it. Huh. All right. Spain has issued a national alert. 23 people in Madrid showed symptoms for monkeypox. State of Massachusetts, recently someone tested positive. That's the first case in the United States of America. And he had traveled to Canada. So,
Oh,
of course, I'm sure now
gosh.
Canada is on high alert as well.
We have cases up here.
And yeah, Canada has reported that they're investigating at least 13 cases that have been flagged in Montreal.
Because that's the thing with airports, is that they're like a central hub. So that person traveled to
Mhm.
Nigeria, so you have to expect that whole flight has been compromised. And because
Potentially,
we're
yeah.
so global, it's like
That's why wear your mask, because your mask are going to protect you not just from COVID, but from other things as well, including the common cold. Listen to me, folks. I can assure you that what you need to do is, just wear your mask, especially in an airport. Like I was looking at people walking around the airport, no mask, and I'm like, you are bold. Why would you not have a mask on? That's just crazy. So Charm, good morning. Let me just back up here. Virtuous says my cousin Fatso was there also. Best customer service from her, and Soka and her pilots are the best flyers. Your cousin's nickname is Fatso. Hopefully your cousin doesn't mind being called that. Louis says red carpet was my first flight, old DC3. Cameron, good morning to you. Shaliko says presently there's a flight to Orlando, KX 8222. Oh, right. Direct flight to Orlando? Nice. Maybe summer break. Some of you will be taking some of the kids to Disney and so on. Louis is having some flashbacks about Alaska Airways. Lavana, praises to you for all the great customer service. Yes, Lavana is excellent. Louis says, I haven't seen any Caymanians in my neck of the woods in a while. He's all the way in Detroit. Celine makes the point that COVID has increased by 26% since last month in the USA. And it has, which, like I said, is also meaning that there's an increase in people taking the viral pills and other things. So I do keep an eye still on COVID news. And I think it's important just to remind people that COVID is very much still a thing. I was listening to NPR over the weekend. You guys know I love me NPR, right? I don't think I need to keep telling y'all this. But I really enjoy listening to National Public Radio. I think they're provide just a lot of useful information. So there was two bits of information that as I was driving over the weekend that I was listening to. One was about the virus, the coronavirus, and vaccine hesitancy, and how vaccine hesitancy really creeped in during COVID times and what this was all about. And I thought it was so interesting. And I'll grab the snippet and maybe play it on tomorrow's program. But really, it was a perfect storm of mistrust of like big pharma, people not having that trust and open dialogue with their physicians, because a lot of physicians are old school, right? You only come to me if you have a problem. They don't encourage open and direct dialogue necessarily with their patients. And so when the pandemic hit, when this coronavirus came on the scene and then the viruses were developed, it was an opportunity for people who were always anti-vaxxers and who have been pushing the anti-vaccination agenda for a very long time to then creep into the discussion and try to influence this specific situation. And they did a really, really good job of influencing people not to take the coronavirus vaccine. And even here in the Cayman Islands, we have had people die because they were not vaccinated. It's as simple as that. There's no argument in the world about it, right? Otherwise, they would still be here with you. And to me, it's just such a sad indictment that we have gotten to the place where in the 21st century, 2022, we have the best medical advances in the world like never before. But yet some people are so untrusting of everything related to the world of medicine. And so they were talking about why that is and how much work we need to do. And of course, the advent of social media, which has allowed every single person to believe that they're an expert and to quickly spread misinformation, and it was difficult to control the spread of misinformation. And a lot of the people out there who are anti-vaxxers are peddling, their own alternative medicines or whatever to try to make money. And there are people who they don't see that. They don't get that. And so, they're all over, oh, I can't wear a mask. It's going to make me pass out. I mean, I was shocked for some people in our community who had an excuse for every single thing that was meant to protect them. They didn't want to social distance. They didn't want to wear masks. They didn't want to get vaccinated. I mean, it's like, what do you want? You want to die, right? And at one point I said to someone, she's like, oh, well, if the Lord is ready for me, I'm ready for him. I'm like, child, please. The Lord is like, heaven is full. You're going to go to hell for being stupid. Celine, thanks for the reminder. But yes, a third of Americans live in areas that should, with such high COVID numbers right now, that they should consider wearing a mask indoors. And again, this is people here arguing about how they don't want to wear masks anymore. I get it. When I put on my mask over the weekend, my little earlobes were sore behind the ear, but I'd rather have sore earlobes than be in an ICU unit with COVID. It's as simple as that. So right now, about 3,000 people a day are being admitted with COVID. This is according to the director for the CDC. This is a 7-day average. COVID rose 19% from the previous week. More than 32% of Americans now live in counties with medium to high levels of virus transmission. That was compared to 24% just the week before. It's on the creep up again. Preventative strategies, folks, include wearing your mask indoors in public settings and testing more frequently. Because, of course, if you test positive, then you need to self-isolate and stop the spread as best you can.
But
And it's
I
also,
think I would venture to say you have some people who test positive, they know they're positive, but they still go about their day like everything is normal. Because you can't watch everybody, right? Everybody has to be, conscientious and honest, or I'm
yeah.
gonna stay home. So I would like to think that is contributing to the increase where people are like, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, listen, people need to know that this virus really isn't going away anytime soon. And whatever precautions you can take to protect yourself, then the better off you'll be. Even in the United States of America, the president's circle, a number of them are infected. So on Wednesday, officials announced that Javier Becerra, his Health and Human Services Secretary, had tested positive. Ashley Biden, his daughter, had tested positive. Although a lot of people are vaccinated, you need to make sure you're getting boosted if you haven't already, and still take those necessary precautions. Social distancing, staying at home if you can, with a lot of these massive events. I saw people out at Badabanu, and other events gyrating in each other, and I thought, wait for the numbers to come in. Woo! And of course, they have gone up here in the Cayman Islands as well. This is the reality of life, folks. People are continuing to die. So here's a comment that came in. This person sent an email. It's unusual that I get emails from people, by the way. Most people will send WhatsApp. So you guys know how to reach us on the WhatsApp number. 93626 is a talk show number. You can always call on that number, and you can also WhatsApp us on that number. And then some people have my private WhatsApp as well. But you can email if you want. I'm probably a little bit slower to see emails though, but this person says, "Good day, Sandy." This was sent yesterday afternoon. I was just listening to your show, wasn't able to listen live. So you guys know that if you miss it, you can go back and listen on social media. The person continues speaking about how expats come here and talk down to us. They talk bad to the administrators that have to give them their work permit. I have a friend who works at work, and she was telling me how rude some of them are, and that should be an automatic refusal of a work permit slash bad character. There's nowhere in the world that you can be rude to immigration employees. So why does our government allow it?
That person is correct, because I was at Apollo House January Sunday. Uh, say what you want to say about works, right? It's not an easy department to run because people bring their emotions. People just want to. This one lady, where's the line? Where's the line? And I'm hate to say it. It always seems to be non-Caribbean. It seems to be, and I don't want to go towards that line, but it always seems to be people who come from first world countries with a certain attitude. And she was like, "Where's the line? Where's the line?" Nobody to answer her, so she was just there looking like a fool, to be honest. But there is a certain level of disrespect that is put towards WC officers and agents,
Mm.
which is not. It's
Where's
it shouldn't be
security during all
allowed.
of this?
Security is usually outside because they have to like regulate people coming in. So
Mm.
it's unless it gets like verbal, where it's verbally abusive, right?
Mhm.
Where people are using expletives, that's when it's a problem. But there is a certain level. Why is this going fast? Why is this taking so long? Type of
Mhm.
attitude from people.
Interesting. Well, yeah, I mean, I think some of the works officers probably better learn to assert themselves a little bit more as well and say, ma'am, with a very firm voice, the line is over there.
Like you do have that, but because everybody,
Mm,
remember saying is hundreds of people, they probably process a day. You do get tired, you
yeah.
just want to, you know,
Well,
because
we're looking forward to that process being automated. Just do everything online. The fewer people you see, the better. So yeah, that's interesting. I wasn't aware that this was an issue, an area of concern. But rudeness is, listen, it happens all over the place. People just be sometimes they're impatient. Like I said, I'm impatient, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be rude. I just stand there and I try to occupy myself with something on my phone or whatever. Um, Speaking of rude people, I was in line at Walmart the other day. So in the States, you can self-checkout. You have these self-checkout lines now. I'm sure they have them in Canada. You
hmm
just waltz through. You're your own cashier, honey child. They're not paying me minimum wage, but I'm still working for them.
you do work for
Um,
them pretty much.
but because I want to get out quicker, I go
Yeah,
through that line. It just saves
yeah.
me time. And so we saw the line where it ended, myself and a few cousins. And so we joined the line, and this lady behind us starts going off in Spanish, and then she switches to English. The line is all the way back there. And I said, at first she was talking to the two young girls. One was like about 11. And I think the other cousin, like maybe she's like 15 or 16 or whatever, right? So she's probably around high school age or whatever. So when she started going off, I at first didn't realize that she was talking to them because you hear all the Spanish in your head 24/7 when you're in Fort Lauderdale, Miami.
hmm
I'm just like kind of blocking out. And then she keeps going on. The kids are like, but we thought this was a line. So I turned around and I gave her one stern look.
hmm
And I said, Miss, first of all, we didn't realize, according to what she was saying, and we honestly didn't. She was like, oh, the line's all the way back there. We saw people walking through the entrance and didn't realize that the line went any further than where we joined it. I'm like, we're not trying to skip the line. And if it's really that big of a deal, go right ahead. Go right before us. It's really go ahead, lady. Like seriously. And then she was, once I jumped into the conversation, then she's like, "Well, I just wanted to say that, like she was looking for an acknowledgement and an apology." And I said, "Here's your apology. We didn't know, so we apologize. If you want to go ahead of us, by all means. We're not in that much of a hurry. Go right ahead." And then she's like, "No, no, no, it's fine." And sometimes people just listen. We're in a world that everybody's doing their own thing. Sometimes you get busy, sometimes you get agitated. I guess it happens, but try to remember that frontline workers, whether it's a cashier or other people, they're doing their job. Normally it's near minimum wage, if not minimum wage, and they have to deal with a lot of different characters and a lot of different people. Showing a little bit of just niceness to them and positivity could really put a smile on their face. When I went to Target, this lady, oh, she was super nice. And I said to her, oh, you can keep the hangers and whatever. And they always want to ask you, do you want a credit card? And I said, nope, not from here. So that's fine. She's like, oh, where are you from? I said, the Cayman Islands. She's like, oh my God, I've heard about the Cayman Islands. I've never been. You can engage in small talk with people, put a little smile on her face. And at the end of the conversation, she's like, listen, you just made my day today. And I was like, really? Such a simple conversation, but you never know, So yeah, listen, we also had works people reach out to us yesterday, enforcement, and they're like, Sandy, you need to have a conversation about a few other things. So we'll read some of those comments. Carol, we miss you. Carol's moved back to the UK. She is saying that in relation to the monkeypox, that it's an STD and at the moment only among men. So this is an interesting bit of news. Thank you, Charm. Good morning. Yeah, they're telling people not to worry because they don't want people to panic yet. It's not like it's widespread, but it's something that they are definitely keeping an eye on. Miss Brenda, look at who's here. We've not seen Brenda Archer in a minute. Good morning. Good morning. She says, good morning. Isn't that the same story they had about AIDS? What's next? Oh, Lord. I think the difference is they actually know what monkeypox is. So, Perla says we're echoing. We haven't done anything. Maybe just restart your feed, Perla. Sometimes Facebook does that. Gabby says, thank God you're on radio. I can save my data while I'm driving to work and not miss out on the hot topics. Yes, girl. Get your second cup of tea because we're going to be talking about 16 and pregnant by a 40-year-old here in a minute. Blackberry says, doesn't the monkeypox origins sound familiar? Along with the potentially only among males, gay, lesbian, bisexual thing that makes you go, Well, it doesn't normally, but this particular outbreak seems to be in the homosexual community. But that's not normally the case with monkeypox. So monkeypox, anybody can get it. And its origins aren't related to that. So I think that's the biggest difference between the origins. So Jess says, preach it, Sandy. Yes, folks, wear your mask. Peter says there's a charter flight to Orlando. Okay. Thank you, Peter. Strong Will, good morning. Oh, Strong Will says, morning, Sandy. Fatso is Mousie's sister. She used to work at Cayman Airways. Yeah, Susan. Okay, I didn't know we called her Fatso. Well, there you go. That's my cousin, 23andMe. Kevin, good morning. Sabrina says, so you're going to hell for being stupid. I literally burst out laughing. Girl, what can I say? Somebody said this to me the other day. Girl, you have me cracking up on the morning show. What's life without a little bit of laughter? Miss Donna says, I'm having a rough morning, but you sure can bring out a laugh in me. Heaven is full. You're going to hell for being stupid. Did you guys really think that was that funny? Was that
Yes.
funny? Okay. Good morning, Miss Wanda. She's pro-mask. She says, yep, she still wears it. Gabby says, seems like COVID doesn't like me. Never tested positive. Thank you, Jesus. Neither have I. And I'm not in wood. All kind of wood. Because Murphy's Law. You say that today and next 2 days, boom, you're positive. But yeah, I haven't had it either, but I think I'm relatively cautious, and I don't hang out with a lot of people. Y'all should know this about me. I always have people be like, oh, Sandy, I want to invite you to a party. And I'm like, do you know me? Because if you know me, you know I ain't coming to your party. Send me a picture. And I'll be like, oh, it was fun. Yeah, if I show up to a social event, consider yourself lucky. Miss Brenda says if they were the first world countries, they wouldn't have left. If they were from first world country. Woo, Miss Melita says, Jared, you should have stepped in and told her in the line, the exit side of Owen Roberts Airport. Yeah, so listen, talking about rude people, there is a person who posted something about a local company saying how, their mishandling of a situation meant that customs had to charge them all this money. And this goes back to, this person came in on the what was the program where we were allowing people to come in and stay for a couple months?
That would
The
have been you'd have to have some
what's it?
connections to the island, Caymanian permanent resident,
No,
or
no,
have
no, 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 no.
property,
This
or
is the other program where we're like, oh, come in if you can work remotely.
oh,
Concierge. Is it concierge?
concierge. Yeah.
Concierge program.
Yeah.
And so this person came in and they brought in new goods, didn't declare it, didn't fill out the paperwork properly, and now they're trying to blame the shipping company. Y'all need to get it together. You know, when you travel and you're an adult, there's certain things that you need to have in order. And if you're filling out a form and customs says to you, "Are you bringing any new goods?" and you say no, and you don't provide receipts, and customs finds new goods in your possession, and then they fine you to the tune of $14,000 or whatever, how do you blame the shipping company? We're going to break that one down in tomorrow's program because to me, again, this is an example. If you are and participating in the concierge program, if you're a permanent resident or you're moving new to the Cayman Islands, these are some of the things, folks, that you need to understand. Yes. And we're going to help you. We're going to break it down for you. Human rights, good morning. Asking about the cost of these migrants. So here's the thing, human rights. Save that question for me, please, because we are inviting Mr. Charles Clifford on the program to talk about this entire Cuban situation. So the truth of the matter is we need more information from him, which we simply don't have in terms of the exact breakdown per person. As Blake mentioned this morning, $6,000 a person, if that's the figure per annum, actually wouldn't be that much money. But we need to get those figures. We need to find out exactly what it works out to be. And more importantly, what does it include? Because we know they get housing, but normally what they do with the housing situation is they actually put them in a shared housing. So they may rent a house, but it'll be a big house where they're sharing rooms and accommodations and everything. So it's not like every single Cuban is getting a house all by themselves, an apartment all by themselves. Still no information from the RCIPS about the stabbing incident. So we did reach out to them. They seemed confused because they referred us back to CBC. And I'm thinking, what does this have to do with CBC? So in case you missed yesterday's program, 2 Cuban nationals who arrived on a boat about 6 months ago, one of them stabbed the other one this weekend, and he's in serious condition at the hospital. And so police don't seem to know anything about it. They're like, oh, contact CBC. And I'm like, they're not in CBC custody. So CBC is like, we ain't got nothing to do with this. So hopefully we can get a more meaningful response from the RCIPS. Oh, Al says, that's why I stopped inviting you to my parties. Now, Al, you're actually one of the people that I always made an exception for. I have come to your parties before. I may not come every year, but Al has amazing parties because he has them in his art gallery / home, and I really go for the environment. But I have been before, but I'm not like a every weekend kind of person to go partying. But no, I love Al's birthday party, and Al and I share. Al, remind me when your birthday is. He's an August baby like myself, so we're very, very close in terms of celebrating our birthdays. Kimmy says, Sandy, good morning. I heard you talking earlier about mask wearing. I see visitors refusing to wear them inside businesses.
Yes.
With mask required signs on the door, and then they give them attitude when they tell them it's required.
Yep.
So this is the sort of thing. And someone mentioned in social media as well that there was a bus load of people that they observed coming off of some tour. Every single tourist that came off the bus, nobody was wearing a mask. Listen, folks, you need to, the bus operators need to enforce it, right? Businesses need to enforce it. Most people have a you must wear a mask sign at the door. So this is what I keep saying. Even if government didn't mandate it in public spaces, you'll find that a lot of businesses will continue to say so. Even in Miami, when you go in the mall, there's a sign there. If you're not vaccinated, this is what the sign says. If you're not vaccinated, you need to wear a mask in the mall. Well, I'm vaccinated. I'm still going to wear my mask, right? This is just common sense. But it's a question of enforcement. DOT, the ministry, needs to send a message to the cruise lines. Stay over visitors, reminding them. Do little messages on Cayman Airways when you're flying in. Please remember that mask wearing in public spaces where you can't social distance is still a requirement in the Cayman Islands. I'm surprised that Cayman Airways didn't do a little reminder over the air. So make sure that you wear your mask in the airport. And if you go into a business that requires it to be worn, which is pretty much all businesses in the Cayman Islands, that you wear your mask as well. Yeah. There are ways that we can reinforce the message, but unfortunately, no one is reinforcing the message, especially when it comes to the tourists and the visitors on island. So yes, Janetta, kids are still keeping the vaccine status of their parents if they're fully vaccinated. Yep, that's still a thing. Al is August the 15th, and I'm the 18th of August, so just days apart. And Kimmy, you're most welcome because it definitely has raised some concerns. I've been noticing quite a number of the comments on social media as well. So here's what someone had to say about, someone mentions about the passport. They said the person probably had a passport from a country that required a Cayman visa. So the airline had to check that they got a permit or resident that would exempt them. Airlines get fined heavily for passengers without proper documentation. Good point, listener, and thank you for that reminder. Indeed, it is the airline who will suffer. So let me read this comment from yesterday because this person said, Sandy, please address this from the perspective of enforcement when it comes to immigration. They say, Sandra, I need you to do a segment where you're bringing up the government, where you're bringing the government to its knees. Oh, Lord. The poor government's like, don't tell Sandy that. She does that already. About the mass influx of the Cuban arrivals and the government's complacency of just letting people they know nothing about roam free in the public undocumented. As you see, you already see the part of persons claiming one was in jail for rape. So this is a concern, and it was raised last week that people who had recently come in and they were at the facility in East End were walking to the grocery store. And again, this is one of the questions that once we get Mr. Charles Clifford on the program, we need to ask him, under what grounds is this being done? I thought they were in quarantine, first of all, for a certain amount of time, but that doesn't seem to be happening anymore. I don't know. And the thing is, what we understand is once CBC has custody of them, they're not actually in jail or anything. So CBC can't stop them from going places necessarily, right? And I do believe, and again, Mr. Charles Clifford can correct me, but they're not even putting ankle bracelets on them anymore because that's a form of
monitoring.
Yeah, almost like your police custody.
Who aren't documented.
So we have a lot of questions about this. I'm glad this person brought it up. And they said, what is it to not think that the people involved in the bombing in Havana is not here amongst his crew? Stick a pin there. Was that a bombing or was that actually just bad?
It was a bad situation in terms of the particulars that can't be confirmed if it was a
I think it was just a gas leak, right? Let me just double check because I know we did the story and then I don't recall. I don't think that I don't recall hearing that it was a
but it was serious because
so this was May the 6th. The Saratoga Hotel, 5-star luxury property there in Cuba, had a gas explosion. So it's a gas explosion, killed 22 people.
But I think what they're trying to highlight is that with the influx, it does pose a national security risk and a national security threat when you are allowing people for good reason who aren't documented and to take the attitude of, oh yeah, human rights, okay, there's national security. We have to bear that in mind, and it is the onus and the ambit of the governor to maintain the national security and the integrity of the security of the Cayman Islands. And I don't want anyone to feel that, oh, nobody's taking the situation lightly at the end of the day. But it doesn't seem as if those who are in the corners to protect the Cayman Islands are doing their job well. And I have to call out the governor for that because he barely knows what goes on. Because if you don't know if somebody on the beach right beside you, you clearly live in a, I wouldn't say.
Well, maybe he just needs to read CMR more. Because
I
he did
don't know.
say he found out about the beach people after noticing it on CMR.
Sunday, it just goes to show you that the people who run the country don't know how to run the country.
Well,
Which,
I wouldn't say they don't know how to run the country, but there is a lot that happens here. So sometimes I
but
suppose some things go a little bit under radar. Listen, I'm in the business of news, and
mhm.
some things still kind of escape me, and I'd be scouring news all the time, 24/7.
Yeah, but if you're being paid to live in a house, to have a nice waterfront, at the very least, we expect you to do your job. You have people, you have ministers, you have agencies. So that governor isn't gonna be happy with me, but I'll tell him, listen, what's going on? Come on.
But remember, he said he delegates the civil service stuff to France Manderson. And, he probably just thought they were out there camping. He didn't realize, it's not that he didn't necessarily see them camping and whatever, but he didn't realize what the situation was until he saw it on CMR. That's the impression that I got. Speaking of which, we got someone messaged yesterday and said, Sandy, thank you. They're gone. Finally, thanks to you. So I'm assuming nobody donated to her I Want a House fund. Ugh, what a hot
Yeah, that
mess.
was an interesting situation to say the least. But
Yeah, it's poor money management. And I should what I should do is I should take Miss Ebanks this book. Let me show you guys what I'm reading at the moment. Starting the book club very, very soon. Jared,
let me see.
this is
Wait
it.
a sec. Let me write that one down.
Yes,
I
child.
love
It's called
read.
Baby Steps,
Yeah,
Millionaires. And it's about how ordinary people built extraordinary wealth and how you can do it as well. A book 30 years in the making. Now, the author of this book, Dave Ramsey, has written a lot of amazing books. He's an award-winning writer. Smart Money, Smart Kids is one of the ones that he's written. He's done one in not entrepreneurship, but entre leadership. Complete Guide to Money, The Legacy Journey, The Total Money Makeover. So he knows money. And so I've just started it, chapter 1. And the biggest issue, it seems to me, is that Miss Ebanks needs financial help.
I hope any of you saw that video and didn't get fooled
Well,
because
she needs financial counseling. We could give her a house and she's still not going to be able to keep it. And I was chuckling when she said, she just wants people to donate and give her a house. I'm like, woman,
that's what
where do you
heard
live?
that too. You heard that too. I was like,
Yeah, people don't just give you stuff in life. First of all, I don't know
you
who.
gotta
Well,
work for that.
apparently she's been given stuff. That's why she feels like she can continue to do it. At the age of 55, you're able-bodied. Girl, get out there and work. But, she had a house and someone said that she was not being honest about the house situation because the house is still there. She was actually, you Caymanians are so salty. Y'all nosier than I don't know what, than a drug dog who was trained to be nosy. So people saw her on Friday in the neighborhood. Here, of her old house. And they're like, what's she doing in the neighborhood? I was like, I don't know. And so people also told me on Friday that she is such a liar. She claimed that planning made her take down the structures that she'd put up for rental money. And in fact, there are 9 little apartments built onto the house, 9 rooms that are bringing in income for the new property owners. So the bank did not take it from her as she claimed because of this issue of planning. The bank took it from her because she wasn't paying the mortgage. That's the truth. And on top of it, here, this part of the truth now. When she had the house and wasn't paying her mortgage, she could find money to be traveling to Jamaica and flossing up and down all over the place. So we're going to give you a house so you can turn around and lose that too? Child, please. You must be crazy. Let's see, where did we leave off with the comments? Oh yeah, so let's go back to this one now. So it says that this alone is a national threat, and you have to keep in mind not knowing who they are dealing with and allowing them to roam free in the public. I mean, it is a concern. I think government doing PR for persons that are hiring these Cubans illegally, that is happening on a daily basis. So this is a valid point. I have received a photo of a truck that is said to be dropping off Cubans and picking up Cubans daily who are working illegally. Enforcement was sent the photo of the truck. I don't know where that investigation is, but they're aware of the situation.
Mhm.
And so, folks, let us be very, very crystal clear here. If you are involved in the hiring of illegal workers, this is against the law and you will be in trouble. Yeah. So we've reported that person because I think what needs to happen is they need to be fined heavily. You know, and so that is what it is. All right, let me get back to the rest of the comments here. And so the person goes on then to say that as it relates to enforcement, you know, they need more staff.
They do. Well, they need higher people. Well, okay. You know, I found very interesting about the government job website.
Mhm.
They had them jobs up there, right? You apply for those jobs. You're lucky if you hear anything within a month to 2 months. I think agencies are short staffed and the government is making do with what it can. And
Hmm.
that's all I have to say.
Listen to this statement. Imagine about 50 Cubans already have been put in rental homes since they arrived a month ago. How is that possible when their own locals, meaning Caymanians, cannot be assisted and some are on the streets? It's getting out of hand. Human rights obligations, I suppose. So where my question is, again, I'm really looking forward to Charles Clifford's response to coming in the program, because how do they find these rental homes? 50 rental homes?
So quick. How that
So
money?
quick.
How that
And
money get so?
NAU,
How that
yeah.
money get through so quick? Listen, if Mr. Charles coming on, I hope he not getting ready to sing like a canary about all the minister and all the governor. I said, listen, on the get on the act together. This is not no Tom and Jerry comedy show we running. So it's either gonna get the plane fueled up to go to Cuba, or I don't know. You know,
So Works, who's responsible for all work permit related breaches in the Cayman Islands, have only 8 officers,
how they just have a officer?
5 being operational. Now that's crazy.
What happened to
To
the
me, that's
tree?
crazy.
Why the tree not operational? What happened? They got COVID.
I,
Cause
I no, I
suppose all
think
of
I
them
think 8 out of the 5. So 5, I guess, do probably, I don't know,
like
intake
serious,
reports and
serious
whatever. I don't
investing.
know.
Oh,
So
okay.
maybe only 3 are actually like field officers, I
That
think.
don't make no sense. Because
So
any custom border agent should be trained in enforcement. That could
mm.
literally be anybody, really and truly. So that enforcement thing really isn't gonna slide.
So this is what someone said who's in the know. They said big houses, like with 12 Cubans or so, $4,500, private and confidential. Well, you don't send anything private and confidential during the show because I'm like reading it live, real time. $160 food card per person for fosters,
Gotcha.
and the rental will include light and water. So yes, that's kind of what, but again, you know, I do understand the point about if they can find housing for for Cubans, they can find it for Caymanians, except you're not going to find 12 Caymanians living together. So
Then
it's
the
not,
Caymanians need their space. So
yeah,
that
it's
not
not
gonna work.
exactly like when NAU is trying to find, you know, well, they leave it up to the NAU applicant, but when you're trying to find a place, you're not going to share with 12 other or 11 other Caymanians. You're trying to find a place for just you and your family. So it is a little bit of different. And I suppose some people might be more keen to rent a large house to government for this purpose. I mean, I don't know. But I've heard some people, you know, destroying these properties and stuff already.
Did you hear that
And
they were gonna put up tent city again? Cause that what I heard that they're
yeah,
thinking
that's
that.
what I'm hearing too.
Hmm. Well, they need to hire more enforcement agents. Government, let's go. Let's go. Problem solved. If we don't
Mhm.
got the budget, and ask your ministers in cabinet, say, hey, give me a little 100,000 or something, make it work. Make it work. And I know Parliament's supposed to be going in June. We expect the opposition to be asking your questions about those Cubans, as they will, and a lot of questions about employment and stuff like that. So the PACT needs to be on its A game, because they've been taking their
So
time.
again, kudos to Cayman Airways. I'm being told that there are more flights to come. Someone mentioned that on Wednesday, Cayman Airways flew to Mexico City.
What? I need to
Yeah.
come to Vancouver. I need to come to
KX
Toronto.
7002 went to Mexico City, Mexico.
Yeah, I won't go, but
Nice. And then they had Orlando, which we'd mentioned earlier. That was KX 8222. Nice job. And then somebody made this comment. On the contrary, you have some of the work personnel that are rude and not knowledgeable about the policy and do not take interest in their work. So I guess the rudeness goes both ways. What a mess. I tell you. All right, just going through some of the information. So, So someone says, I get it all the time because I don't have a return ticket, passport issued country. I don't have a return ticket, passport issued country. And they say to me that I need a return ticket. And then I say, I live here, I have residency issued by the CI government. Here's my stamp. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it's a polite argument.
yeah, because the agents don't know Cayman immigration law and the permanent residency stamp and the work permit stamp, and it seems like they don't know the Caymanian stamp. So the government needs to inform, these are the stamps for people who are legally entitled to stay in Cayman. If they have a work permit stamp, a PR stamp, and a Caymanian stamp, do not question them. This is what you're supposed to look for. That is it, because people should not be questioning they should check your status, but they should not question.
Yeah, and someone clarifies that maybe it's because some of the stamps say different things. So they said that some stamps say that this holder is a Caymanian, and other stamp says that the person holding Cayman status. And the term confuses people overseas. And they said my dad has the first one and I have the second one.
Yeah, because there's different different designations for Caymanians and PR holders. You could be a dependent of a PR holder. You could be a permanent resident. You could be an independent business means permanent resident. But, like, there's still a stamp. Once there's a stamp, all it should be said is, once there's a stamp where it has been duly put by the Department of Works, leave the person alone. That's it. Because what it comes across, Sandy, let's say you're a Caymanian, right? You go to America. Oh, you sure this stamp the right stamp? You go and get offended. It's a matter of the government communicating to the respective airlines, the attendants, that this is the requirement to get into Cayman: work permit, PR holder, and the Caymanian stamp. Right? But what can happen is, Sandy, is that you could be, let's say I hold a Belizean passport, right? I could have a Caymanian stamp, meaning this person is a Caymanian, stamped to my Belizean passport. I could see that confusing attendants, because it's a Belizean passport. How is it you have a Caymanian stamp? Right? So that can happen, where you can be a Caymanian and you have a different nationality passport, but that Caymanian stamp is in the passport that's not Caymanian. You get what I mean?
All right, let's take a quick commercial break.
At the HSA, we know that your time is a precious resource and want to help you spend it wisely. Avoid the wait and request your prescription refills through our website, WhatsApp, or by calling the pharmacy. Use our delivery service if you are vulnerable, elderly, or a civil servant. or pick them up the next day. Your secure health records are at your fingertips with our My HSA Patient Portal and Healthy Life app. Our 9 locations throughout all 3 islands make receiving quality care simple and convenient because your time matters to us.
At Innovative Building Products, we provide professional builders and homeowners with the highest quality materials from top brands worldwide. Tiling tools, waterproofing systems, thin sets, self-levelers, grout, along with porcelain floor and wall tiles. Our products are 100% guaranteed, promise 100% satisfaction, and beat competitor pricing. Pallets of materials are ready to go. Quick and easy convenience to get you in and out within 5 minutes.
Just some clarification here for the benefit of our listeners is that the work situation in terms of enforcement, this is what I understand, 5 officers to deal with all breaches. So the other officers are on the operational side. That's not enough. 5?
They
And as
need
many
at,
breaches as they have here in Cayman? What?
they need at least 50 officers
Yeah,
for breaches.
that's a little bit unbelievable, to be honest. Okay. Never heard of so few before, so that's interesting. All right, we'll try to get some more information on that, folks. See if we can't figure out a bit more. And yeah, all right. What a mess. All right, folks, thank you for your comments. Lots of commentary coming in. And by the way, Jared, have you noticed that despite the fact that we are on radio, we still have a strong contingent of individuals who are still tuned into the live stream, over 300 solid this morning.
That's good. That's
Yes,
really good. I really don't get the chance to check the numbers. So it's really when I go back to watch it or see it that I know that
Natasha says undocumented people should not be allowed to roam free. I don't think any country allows this.
you can't do that in America. I know that for sure. They put you in an isolated area.
CC says put them back in a boat and give them water, send them on their way. These Cubans get more assistance than Caymanians. Here's the thing about putting them back on a boat. If they don't want to go on the boat. So this is where I was saying to Aaron even this morning, this is now their intended port of destination.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like there was a boat the other day that came in the Brack and they said, okay, they wanted to continue. In that case, you can just give them water, whatever, and allow them to continue on their journey. But that's if that's what they want to do. If that's not what they want to do, and funny enough, that boat ended up 2 days later in Grand Cayman. They didn't make it very far. So then they disembarked here.
Okay.
So that's the problem, CC. You can't force them from a human rights perspective and a legal perspective. You can't force them to stay at sea if their vessel is unseaworthy or they don't want to continue the journey.
Well, how do you prevent them from coming to Cayman? Because okay, apart from the drug situation we have, apart from the gas prices and apart from the rental crisis and whatever we have going on, we in the Cayman Islands do not have the capacity to be accepting individuals from countries where they're not legally documented. As it pertains to human rights, human rights is important, but it seems to be laid around as a level of convenience, okay? Because there are certain situations where I see human rights not being enacted, but I do understand the situation with the Cuban refugees. However, I am going to ask the government, why don't we have the airplane going back to Cuba? I haven't heard anything about why it's not happening. I know that the processing of asylums is taking long. Well, Bobo, TD, expedite the process, and it goes back to the governor on his delegating and his
Well, the minister did say on Tuesday's program that they have a new board chairman for the asylum board and new board members, and that they should be moving a lot quicker. I think they need to be meeting almost daily, given the number of. But of course, board members have full-time jobs doing other things, right? But I do think that they need to be moving as quickly as possible.
And you says the asylum board?
I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious. How does this work? If you're Cuban, are you traveling when you get on the boat with your essential documents and your proof of, why you should be seeking asylum? And then you put in an application. Of course, there is a vetting process. It's not like the government can just say, oh, right, you filled out an application claiming that you're a political refugee, which we know 99% of the cases they are not. They're economic refugees. They're not political refugees. And so this is a bit of a loophole where they try their best to prove that they are going to be a political refugee. And I have to wonder, and this is a question for the people who sit on that board, maybe we need to look at this law specifically. What are the criteria even to prove that you are, a Cuban, a legitimate political refugee? What are they looking for?
Yeah, and I noticed the U.S. had redacted some of its stringent immigration controls, so hopefully that will abate the issue. However, we do not have the capacity, right? And I don't care if they're new board members. Listen, let's get the ball rolling. Get KL up in the airplane, up in flight. Because we don't have it, Sandy. We do not
Max
need
8 can right now take all 137 right back. Mr. Charles Yates is wondering why the Union Jack is half mast. Here we go, sir.
The family of the late Sybil Ione McLaughlin regret to announce her passing on May 10th.
My apologies. I've actually replaced that with one that I did myself. Give me 1 second here, folks. Looks like I've neglected to update that. And there's a reason why. So sometimes we use overseas voiceover artists. And unfortunately, if they're not from Cayman, they don't always get it precisely right. So I had to just do this one myself. So this is in my voice, Caymanian voice. What can I say? But at least I definitely know how to pronounce McLaughlin. That's me being salty against myself. Give me 1 second. I'll delete the old one. But yes, Miss Sybil is going to have an official funeral, folks. The family of the late Sybil Ione McLaughlin regret to announce her passing on May the 10th, 2022. Left to mourn her passing are sons Chris and Gordon, daughters-in-law Suzanne and Heather, brother James and his wife Lisa, grandchildren Natasha and Nikita, special cousin Captain Paul Hurlston, and a host of other relatives and very many friends throughout the world. A funeral service will be held at 1 p.m. at Elmsley Memorial Church on Friday, May the 20th, 2022. Miss Sybil will lay in state in Parliament on Thursday, May the 19th from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. Private interment at the South Sound Cemetery will be held at a later date. Condolences may be registered at the Bodden Funeral Services Facebook page and at boddenfuneralservice.com. In lieu of flowers, we encourage donations to be made to the Business and Professional Women's Club for an annual award of achievement to be given to a deserving Caymanian student in honor of Miss Sybil and her contributions to the women and girls of the Cayman Islands. Donations can be made directly to the BPW Grand Cayman Butterfield account 02101 031 492. All right, folks. And there's also condolence books at the House of Parliament, the Government Administrative Building, Health City East End, and the BRAC District Admin Building until Friday, which is the day of her funeral. So again, the funeral will be held at Elmsley Memorial Church. Folks, if you would wish to sign a condolence book, you can find them at various locations: House of Parliament, Government Administration Building, Health City, East End, and BRAC District Admin. And she'll be laying in state today from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. So you can stop by there at Parliament and give your last respects to Miss Sybil Sybil McLaughlin. So again, her condolences to the family of Miss Sybil. And I hope I did the announcement justice. It was my first funeral announcement ever.
It wasn't bad. I was listening
Yeah.
to it last. I said, listen, Sunday. She ton of voice acting thing.
Listen, voiceover artists. And we've had requests more and more. We're getting people who request our services in terms of live streaming funerals and stuff like that. If you know anything about me, you know that I do not like a funeral. I know it's a Caymanian thing. I know Caymanians love to dress up and go to people's funerals. That ain't me, honey child. But if you need it live streamed, we might make an exception. We might do 1 or 2 a month, but it's not going to be an every weekend sort of thing. But reach out to us. We can see how we can assist in those types of situations. Child, I cry at every single funeral, whether I know the person or not, and then I'll have a headache for 2 days. To me, death is it's death. It's final. That's it. There's no coming back. You're not taking anything with you. That's for sure. So thank you so much, Miss Emma, for reminding us of that. And thank you as well, Charles, for the question. Moya says, agree that the board working double time and get them exported back ASAP. The number there's coming in, is overwhelming, and we need to get back to Cuba like yesterday. Miss Brenda says preventing them from turning up here might not be possible, but they don't have to remain here indefinitely. We have excessive flights going to Cuba every single week. Fill those flights up with them, and they don't want to come to Cayman. They're all trying to get to South Florida. They're not anymore. I'm telling you, they're trying to come to Cayman. When they turn up in Jamaica, they assist them there. They tell the Jamaicans they want to be sent to Miami. Well, first of all, Jamaica is not accepting them anymore. Jamaica changed their policy some months back. Remember, there was that whole fiasco with Cayman Airways getting caught in the middle. Jamaica basically said to Cayman Airways, you can't bring any more Cubans in here. We don't care, because they're flying in. They're trying to, they were using Jamaica as a transport point because they don't necessarily want to stay in Jamaica. But Cayman is a good place, so they don't mind staying here.
Well, we need to give some recommendations.
And there are rumors on the Mall Road that there is a situation now of human trafficking into the Cayman Islands.
You see what I'm saying?
Someone posted, I had to take it down because they posted the picture of the woman that they said is involved in the human trafficking. She contacted us because she went to the police and said that this isn't true. She's being unfairly targeted. And so, the police said, go talk to Sandy if you want to clarify a rumor. So there you have it, folks. So we were contacted by her and we put the information out there. She's saying it's not her, but there's some very, very strong rumors afoot that there's a situation of human trafficking that is happening with the Cuban migrants, and they're being brought here on purpose.
And Sandy, this is the question that I have to ask, right? In order to be a refugee, right? You have to be in a dire situation. Your life has to be threatened, right? If your life isn't under those means or hit those categories, right? You're not really a refugee, right? And how is the Cayman government going to authenticate these refugee scenarios? They don't even know where they're coming from. I could be Peter and I say, oh, I Johnny Brown. How the government going to know? And this thing with this human rights, oh, we have to accept them. You don't know if the person is being genuine, right? And so this questions the national security of the Cayman Islands. And I hope when Premier Panton comes on next week, he has an answer prepared, because he does sit on the Security Council, as does the governor, as does the Attorney General, as does the leader of the opposition, and I believe the Commissioner of Police sits on that. So listen, I am working on the reviews for port already, the Education Council.
Child, I got lots of document support I can give you.
And the other one, there's another one. It skipped my mind. But if I have to review the Security Council, I will do that.
Yeah. So Human Rights says, why are there immigrants, I'm assuming migrants really, who've been here since 2015 and even today in 2022, it's not decided what to do with them. Well, some of them I think were suing the government over how long this committee, the asylum, or not asylum, the I guess asylum board was taken to process applications. And I guess they weren't working during COVID. I mean, y'all can work remotely boards. You don't have to be in front of each other's faces. I don't understand human rights and others. We have a lot of questions surrounding this whole situation. Someone else clarified that they said, Sandy, they're either political refugees or economic migrants. It's a legal process that each migrant is entitled to, and it's defined by law. There's no such thing as an economic refugee. So the correct term is an economic migrant. Thank you, listener to the program, for that. And you're absolutely right. 99% of them are economic migrants. I was saying economic refugees, but you
Well,
guys know what I mean.
if we could give any advice to the Cuban economic migrants, if you bring your documentation, we can possibly consider. But if there's no documentation, because why isn't Jamaica getting a lot of flack when Jamaica tells them no? Why
Yeah.
do we have to be so, I don't know, nice?
Yeah, but I think there's two distinct differences. Number one, they're not showing up in Jamaica by boat. They were actually going in a plane, but they were using Jamaica as a
Yes, sir.
transport point.
Transit.
They're not interested in
Okay.
staying in Jamaica, because that's a little bit of a different stay. So, I don't think the Jamaican government gonna be putting them up like we do. So they were using a transport point. Jamaica became aware of this, and they said to Cayman Airways, "You can't bring any more Cubans on these planes." As simple as that. You can't bring that flight through Jamaica. And so that was easy. That was an easy fix. When they're coming by boat, how do you stop them? You know what I'm saying? And the Cuban government, I'm going to tell you what my opinion is about that bunch. They don't care.
Yeah, because
You know,
it's less
the
people
fewer,
for them
fewer,
to
yeah, the
feed.
fewer that they have to deal with, the better. And I wouldn't put it past them to be letting people out of jail, out of mental health facilities, putting them on a boat that comes out into international waters, and then from there putting them on the little dinghy and pushing them into Cayman waters and say, "There you go."
Sammy, you
Y'all,
try to make me laugh, boy.
you
Listen,
listen. That I no joke, These governments not easy.
and that's why you hear me say it poses a national security
Remember what
risk.
they did during what was it called? The Mariella boat lift or whatever back in the day, back in the 80s? They were purposely sending criminals out of Cuba to go to America. So they've done it before. Nothing stopping them from doing it again. Al says that my funeral voice almost put him to sleep. Oh, might tweet him. So here's some additional information on the official arrangements for Miss Sybil. So again, this funeral service, Emsley Memorial Church, 1 p.m. There will be no graveside service. Post-funeral, they're having a walking procession to Hero Square for a 21 gun salute, flag unfolding, and presentation to the family. So remember, she's a national hero, folks.
Yeah.
And then finally, they're going to have the casket in a hearse driven through South Sound, past her home, and onto the funeral home. Both the UK and CI flags are half-mast today and tomorrow. Thanks for that information, folks. All right, let's talk about this topic here. It's an uncomfortable topic for everyone, but we have to talk about it. A 16-year-old child who is in government care at the Francis Bodden Children's Home is pregnant for a 40-year-old man. Let me say this again. A 16-year-old minor, a child, who is in the custody of the Francis Bodden Children's Home, is pregnant for a 40-year-old Jamaican man. Now, you all know, nothing grieves me more than child molesters. And so I don't know who the man is yet, but y'all know I'm working on the details. Because what he would be doing with a 15, 16-year-old child, only God knows. Now, there's some concerns about this situation because this is what I'm told from sources familiar with the situation. Apparently, the young lady is being kept in the home, which my understanding is they're supposed to have some sort of other alternative arrangement for her. Because now that she's in the home and she's pregnant, there are other children in the home, some of them 12 and 13 years old, who think it's a good idea to try to go out there and get pregnant. It's like a thing. Huh? Some of them have expressed that at 13 years old that they want to get pregnant so that they can get out of the home. Oh, we've got a spammer named Walter Schultz on the live stream. Let's just block Walter. So folks, we don't allow spamming on our show. We have the ability to immediately block you and delete all of your comments, which we're doing right now. So I don't know how he found us this morning. Trolls, they're everywhere. All right, so he's blocked, folks. We should stop getting those messages here now. So am I the only one who's shocked by this? Well, this is disgusting. First of all, 40-year-old, he needs to be put in jail. But normally what happens is in a situation like this, unless the victim is willing to provide a police statement and speak to the police about having intercourse with this man, they have to wait until the baby is born, and then they'll do a DNA test on the baby. And then at that point in time, they can charge him, because that's unrefutable, undeniable evidence, right? That he fathered his child.
Well, question: is there Caymanian? Because if
He's a Jamaican.
yeah, if he's not Caymanian and that baby is born, I hope you know he can say right to family life. And
Here we go.
if and you see the thing is,
Well, right now he should have a right to a jail cell.
works enforcement. Let's go. If because that is going to be something in his right to question, right to family life, and the judge
Right
will.
to a jail cell. is
But
what
no,
you-
I'm just saying what the
Yeah.
law. But that should not be going on. What's happening at Francis Bodden home? Who is the director? Let's go.
Let's talk about it. So Aliano says, big, hard back, sick, so-and-so, a 16-year-old. Really? I don't know. Listen, why would a 40-year-old man be attracted to a 16-year-old child? What's the attraction? What kind of conversation? Well, I guess it's not the conversation he's interested in. Y'all are sick and disgusting. What is this really all about? Oh, I feel like we have somehow normalized certain things in this community, and we see it and we turn a blind eye and we think that it is okay. So now the allegation is that in the home, she is being glorified, like the other girls are looking up to her, which is a real problem. So they're talking about they want to get pregnant too. Oh my God. So in terms of who is now running the home, we do have a new manager. They brought this guy in. I believe he's from the US this time again. And someone said that the new manager does not believe in discipline at all. And the children can fight at school and they still get to go home on the weekend. So there's no consequences for their behavior. Well, this is a recipe for disaster. It was bad enough when we had Miss Denise there, who was clueless and letting a bunch of foolishness go on, nepotism among staff and so on. Here's another situation at the Francis Bodden. I keep talking about the dysfunctionality that's happening at the Francis Bodden home, and I am shocked that not a single government official, I forget who it even falls under, has ever addressed it. They've never done anything. They've never said anything. And the board members remain the same. They're waiting for something tragic to happen at Francis Bodden. Like, this isn't tragic enough. This is tragic enough. But they're waiting for something else to happen before they're going to then jump up and say, oh, yeah, we should have been doing something. So one of the residents called her mom on Sunday to give her an update. Right? The mother tested positive for COVID. The daughter was tested positive at the home. The mother was asked to do a PCR test before bringing the child back to the home. And then the child was picked up without a PCR test being done. And now inside of the home, walking up and down with the other residents, she's COVID positive. And of course, they have people in the home, these young kids who are not vaccinated at all. Probably some of the workers are not even vaccinated. So the parent lied about the daughter's test so the daughter could have a sleepover the night the daughter went home. She visited for 4 hours, and the mother who claims to have tested positive around 4:20 p.m. Got the call. Oh, right. I'm trying to understand this. This is a little bit convoluted. So she was tested positive around 4:20 p.m. When the home got the call, she was out Sunday night at the roti shop drinking. This is the mother. So yeah, pregnant teenager. I'm told she's in her last year of high school. She's about 6 to 8 weeks pregnant. And now we have her in a home with 13 to 15-year-olds who think that this is a cool thing. Unbelievable. So I'm trying to get some more information. I'm told that he's 40-something years old, Jamaican national. And we are trying to get some more information exactly who he is. Because y'all know we will put his picture up once we know definitively who it is. You want to dip your foot in that pool and play around with little 16-year-old children, then you should have no qualms and no issues having the entire community know who you are. So Andrea says, did he know she was 16? Well,
that's not.
He knows that she's in the girls' home. You can't be in the girls' home as an adult.
I think that portfolio falls under the Minister of Social Development.
So that would be Andre.
Yeah, but I'm looking through organizational chart just to verify.
Yeah, Sharon, this isn't one that ran away. Now she does have weekend access. I'm not necessarily saying that she was escaping out the window, although we saw that happening as well at the home, right under their remit, right under their watch. Have they bothered to install any security cameras yet? This home situation really gets under my skin at a different level, because you're taking children who are high risk for a variety of different reasons. Part of the problem is they're commingling children who shouldn't be commingled. So some children go into the home because they are victims. So they're victims of bad parenting, they're victims of abuse, sexual and otherwise. And so sometimes the court has to take them out of a situation. They're being commingled and put in homes with children who have behavioral issues. They're not being separated. And those are very different case studies, very different situations, and they should be treated completely differently, folks. And that is not happening. Right? So that's part of the problem. Then you have staff and employees there who are ill qualified. They don't want to hire Caymanians.
Why?
Speak to the board. They don't want to hire Caymanians.
Who is the board again?
So
the Francis Bodden board, or is the K's? Is the K's?
It's K's Foundation.
Okay, we're reviewing K's.
Boys home and the girls home.
K's is on the thing for review too.
So they're not hiring people who understand the social context of what happens here in the Cayman Islands. None of that. These girls are having a lot of emotional issues. There's a lot of structural issues within the facility itself and how it's being operated, particularly at the Francis Bodden home. No security cameras, no nothing. You have a variety of security cameras, everything from the Ring security camera to who else? Everybody has a security camera. The second you walk into zone, it notifies you someone is walking into zone. So when you have a man climbing up a window to gain access to that 13-year-old child, and that has happened at the Francis Bodden Children's Home months ago. And since then, not a single thing has happened with security. Why are we not firing somebody? Why have we not dissolved and gotten rid of this board? This is just pure slackness. Now listen, the PAC government said, the premier, we want to take our time with board appointments because we want to get it right. This was last year when they got elected. And so they were going through all the boards, and there's a lot of government boards. I don't even know how many government boards exist, but it's a lot.
It's a lot.
And they're trying to pick applicants who are qualified. Well, clearly they missed the mark on a few of those already, and who were best suited for the particular boards that they were being placed on. Okay, I gave you time, but now you've been in there for over a year. Why are there still some boards who have not been dealt with? This is a very, very serious indictment on this government. So I'm pro PAC when they're getting it right. When they're not getting it right, I'm going to be like, excuse me, can we have an explanation for why we still have boards that have not been appointed? You still have the old board members who are operating under the progressive government who have a completely different remit. This is too long. 3-4 months in, okay, take your time. A year plus later, no. So this is one of those boards. Garth Arch is the chair of the board for the Case Foundation. He's been there for donkey years now. And I don't personally know Mr. Arch. I hear he's a really nice person, nice, Christian person, whatever, but he needs to go. He's just not cut out for this particular role. Mr. Arch can do something else. I'm sure of that.
He can serve on
I'm
board.
told that Andre Ebanks is the minister responsible for this, and Eric Bush is the chief officer.
Yep. And there's been a lot of things said about.
Oh, okay. I'm told that they finally have cameras up now. And someone says that Garth doesn't want a Caymanian as a manager because he wants people that he can control.
Well, I hope the opposition questions the PACT on why a Caymanian isn't the director of Caymanians, because it poses a lot of issues. And if this requires Department of Children and Family Services to look into it, which it probably should have triggered, because this is a serious problem.
Mm-hmm.
This is a serious problem. Why? And this goes back to my issue with ministers or certain ministers where they appoint people and there doesn't even seem to be any intentional reason. You just appoint somebody to say, oh yeah, he 50 odd, so he meet the mark. That's not what we're looking for. What we're looking for is people who are qualified, who got a degree, who can.
So they finally installed cameras in March after that last fiasco with the teenagers.
Yeah, but it's after the fact.
Yeah, we told them. Yeah. So here's another comment. This person says, rapist, he should be arrested and held without bail until the child is born. The house manager should also be charged immediately. In that case, the person that interviewed the house manager should also be suspended.
Because you know what? Okay, it doesn't matter if the girl could have been seeing the guy while at school or during the time. That's not the problem. The problem is it's providing a safe environment where young people with behavioral issues can get those issues resolved and be contributing people towards the Caymanian society. As it currently stands, that is not happening because of lack of leadership, incompetent board. So this issue falls on the PACT and Mr. Panton, Premier Panton. Come next week, Wednesday, have that question ready because it's going to be asked.
Yeah. Someone else says, what's stopping him from leaving the jurisdiction before the baby's born? Probably nothing.
He's not going to leave the jurisdiction.
He's
not. And this is what I'm saying. He is going to go to immigration or the judge and ask for the right to family life.
And that should never be allowed because you shouldn't be able to listen. If we need to rewrite an immigration law in this regard, then this needs to happen pronto, right? You should not be able to break a law that gives you the right to claim any sort of immigration status. And that includes impregnating an underage girl. And then use that as the basis for which you try to apply for the ability to remain and stay in the Cayman Islands. Do we not have that in the law? If we don't, we need to get on it.
Because we had a situation where we had a known drug dealer.
No, but that's different because let me be very clear, right? The way that you get your status. So if you break the law and that method of how you got it. So in this case, the argument is, oh, he will be able to get status off of a child. But the act that gives him that right was an illegal act. Having sexual relations with a minor is completely illegal in this jurisdiction. So my point is, there should be something in the law that you can't ever claim any rights at all if the method in which you got it was through some illegal means.
Okay, yeah.
And is that what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I doubt that exists in law, but it should exist in law. So board appointments are still continuing. I'm really, really perplexed. Just last week, the board of directors for the Special Economic Zone Authority were appointed. This was May the 3rd. Why is it taking so long? Paul Biles is chairman, Anthony Rich is deputy chair. Hima Kapoor as and Cora Grant as ordinary members for 2 years. A year later, you're still how many boards are there? Do you know?
It's
Can
at
we
least over 100, well, 50 for
Well,
sure.
the PAC government needs to prioritize this, and there's some boards that clearly need more attention than others. Kay's Foundation should be the top of the list, as dysfunctional as that organization has been. There's absolutely no accountability whatsoever. I mean, I've not seen anything like it when it comes to that particular organization. And my major concern is we have children who are high risk already that are in the care and control of the government. And the government is not doing right by these children, which means that their lives are just, you're writing them off. They're pretty much going to be doomed. We had a situation where a young man, little Rico, what was his name? Roscoe. Oh God, the
Yeah,
young
it's
man that drowned.
yeah.
Yeah. My apologies for not remembering his full name. Roscoe. Oh gosh, but here's a young man who drowned while in government custody.
Mm-hmm.
They try to criminally charge the poor workers.
Mm-hmm.
That case was a sad indictment on the entire Kay's Foundation, the ministry responsible,
And the
and
chief
everybody
officer
else, right? The chief officers,
and the
everyone.
minister and the minister.
And they got off, and it's like, what on earth? All right, Jared, I'm gonna put you up to continue the conversation. I do have an emergency call that I need to take, so I'll let you just continue chatting for a second.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, it's a bit shocking that we don't have a Caymanian director heading up the institution. I think there needs to be more Caymanian workers put in the institution to watch over Caymanian kids, because if we hire people who don't know how Caymanians think, what the environment is, what the social construct is of Cayman, we will always see the same issues unfolding, and this is not new at
Yeah,
the end of the day. But this
definitely
should
not.
not happen. Point blank. Period.
It's disappointing. My apologies for having to take an emergency break. I saw my daughter's school calling. So she had a little incident yesterday at school. Oh, children will stress you out, child. That's all I can tell you. I'm sure I have a few more gray hairs since I've had her. So she was only 5 3/4, as she likes to say. But yesterday morning, I bought her some cute little shoes, little frozen shoes with a little heel on them in Miami. And of course, she saw them yesterday morning. She decides to wear them to school. I saw her put them on. I said, Gianna, you cannot wear those shoes to school. They're not school appropriate. She said, okay, mommy. I said, go put on your socks and closed-toed shoes. Well, she didn't listen to mommy. So yesterday afternoon, I got a call. Gianna had an accident. She's put a hole in her lip. I was like, what? I don't even know how some of these things happen with kids. I'm like, she did what? So looking down at the fancy shoes and not paying attention to where she was walking, she walked into a drawer and put her tooth, went through the entire lip from one end to the next. Woo! So I had to take her to the emergency room, take her to the hospital, went to the what is it called? Critical care unit and whatever. So they said, give her some antibiotics, some painkillers, and just kind of watch it, because part of it starts obviously in the inside of the mouth where the tooth went in, that the chances of that becoming infected are pretty high, because your mouth is full of bacteria. And anytime you have an open wound in the mouth, that's, so she's taking her antibiotics and whatever. And they said it didn't require a stitch. So they were going to just leave it and it'll kind of heal on its own. So the school was just calling me because she's telling them that she accidentally pulled out a stitch, but it doesn't have any stitches. So, 5 3/4, she doesn't really quite understand everything that's going on. So we had to have a conversation, Jared, about when mommy gives you instructions, why it's really important for you to listen. And when you don't listen, this is the kind of thing that happens. So I said, Gianna, in my calmest mommy voice possible, Al, it wasn't calm enough to put you to sleep, but it was very, very calm. because I really try to be not that parent that's going to be yelling and screaming all over the place. I said, Gigi, remember yesterday morning when we had the conversation about the shoes, and I specifically said, do not wear those shoes, and you disobeyed me? And she's like, Mommy, what does disobey mean? I said, disobey is the opposite of obey, which means you did not listen. And you did what you wanted to do. And you wore those shoes anyway. And they're not appropriate for school. And, you were looking down at them because they're all blingy. And look at what happened. So now the end result is you've got a busted lip. You got a hole in your lip. We had to go to the emergency room and all this kind of stuff. And you're going to be in punishment for an entire week. Now, a week is a long time in the life of a 5-year-old. And I said, no TV, no iPad, no nothing. She's like, no iPad? Yep, no iPad. You can't watch any of your shows for an entire week. You can read and practice your spelling words. Jared, wait to have children. You need this level of patience. Trust me. They're gonna. And I was saying to my cousins in Orlando this weekend, we were in the mall, and this parent, the poor baby, fell backwards in the stroller and hit her head on the mall floor, and she started crying. The poor dad, parents are always like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. And I said, it's amazing how resilient children are physically. It's kind of hard to kill them, not that you should be trying, believe me. But, accidents happen. And as a parent, you feel so bad when a child falls or, you accidentally push them over. It's just, listen, it pulls at your heartstring. A couple months ago, she got her finger caught in the door because I was closing the door behind me and she wasn't supposed to be there. And I didn't know she was there. And it was like, oh, my finger. And I was like, oh, Jesus. Like your heart just drops, right? When you are involved in an incident like this. So I appreciate the school calling to confirm that she didn't actually have any stitches. What a mess. But, we're talking about our children, folks, and each and every one of us, whether you're a parent or not, should all be extremely concerned about the stories that we continually hear coming out of the Case Foundation. It's just unbelievable. These children are already at risk. It breaks my heart. Soka says, listening to your mommy will be the best thing, even when they're 25, 30, and 40. Well, mommy often knows best. Thank you, Elinda, for that. She is feeling a little bit better. The lip is swollen. I'm surprised that she slept as well as she did last night, but we did pretty good last night, so that was awesome. But Natasha says, call it what it is, rape of a minor by a pedophile. Andrea says, again, Miss Chambers, I see 13-year-olds get pregnant. Nobody is going to jail. Stop trying to single people out. Everybody deserves the same treatment. You do the crime, you do the time. So I think I missed the response to that. But no, listen, it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. If you have sex with underage children, that's against the law and you should be going to jail. And this is one of those areas that I think the government needs to mandate mandatory sentences. 8 years for molesting multiple children, 11 counts, is not enough time. In a lot of jurisdictions, 1 count will get you a life sentence. It's beyond disturbing. So I wanted to highlight it on the program this morning because, again, these are the type of stories that go under radar. The Case Foundation never has issued a public statement about anything that has happened under their watch. They don't say anything. They don't do anything. The ministry doesn't say anything about the Case Foundation. And it's incredibly disappointing to hear that here I am yet again talking about another situation at the Case Foundation. Disappointing. What's the solution? People keep asking, why don't they place a female as manager? Well, they had a female last time. That didn't work out too well.
Competent female. Big difference.
They said that they need to give the Case Foundation back over to government.
It's isn't it under government?
Well, the foundation, I guess, has its own board and its own management, but they're thinking that core government, but it still falls under the ministry. So I don't think that that's necessarily the answer. They just need to find a board that knows what they're doing.
Weird.
Employees that know what they're doing. Now,
You,
how does this work?
it
If young
falls under
people,
DC. Well, uh, it's a bit
they all fall
technical.
under the same ministry. So someone says if they know that she's sexually active, why can't they place her in birth control? Well,
What's your-
I mean, that's part of the questions, but if she's sexually active with a 40-year-old, why is she sexually active with a 40-year-old? The 40-year-old still needs to be held accountable. So, folks, listen to me. If you're 20, 21, 30, 31, 40, 45, 80-year-olds have been going after little children, and you have a propensity to want to abuse children, I'm telling you that when we hear about it, we're going to expose you on the cold hard truth on CMR. I have zero tolerance for it. We need a sex offenders registry from 20 years ago.
And
We
the
finally got to the point where the government was willing to admit, right? The chief, the attorney general, that, oh, yes, we need a registry, but it's complicated because we're
yeah,
such a small jurisdiction.
yeah, and
Why
he's
is
the
it, why
same
why
attorney
is it,
general that's been there for almost a decade, and not a
why
lot
is it
of.
complicated? There are things that you can put in place. So the details, just like when we go to court the other day, this guy, what's his name? The one with the 11 counts, right? The judge said, there's reporting restrictions in place. You can't report anything that would identify the child. Interestingly enough, the prosecution said to me that, get you his name so y'all don't forget it. His photo's up. Neville Lloyd Passard. The prosecution, after the judge's comment, said, oh, but you've already named him. I said, I sure did. Named him for the minute he got arrested and we knew who he was. Named and found a photo. So, not naming him now isn't exactly an option. But there are things that I didn't say in the story, and there are things that I wouldn't say in the show that would potentially identify who the victims are. It's as easy as that. You can protect the victim and still name the perpetrator. So you don't have to give all the details of how they're connected.
Okay, so the Department of Children and Family Services is the one that court orders the children to be in the respective home. So whether that's Francis, Bodden, Bonaventure, and the question that I have is, why do we have pictures of these facilities up on a website where a predator could potentially identify the location of underage minors? And
Well, listen to me. Let's be honest here. These are not strangers who are going into the home
they're not.
grabbing a child. This 40-something-year-old, whoever the heck he
He
is.
works there.
He is a construction worker, I'm told. He has access to this child some other kind of way. I don't know all the details yet, so I don't know if he, heaven forbid, went to her church, saw her walk in the street and approached her. We don't know how this relationship might have gotten started, but I'm confident that he's not walking up and knocking at the back door of the K's Foundation, Francis Bodden home, and saying, let me in. So,
It would be during the time when nobody would have
it's
supervision.
suspected that maybe this was happening when she was having her weekends at home. Parents, y'all need to get your stuff together too. Because you need to know what your children are doing and who they're with and, what kind of company they're keeping. This idea that you can have a child and you just want to have all of your freedoms just isn't going to fly. Right? You have to make sacrifices. If you want to party well into your 50s and don't have children, you can do that. You can have that choice. But you're going out every weekend, going to the bars, drinking at the roti shop, drinking at power, what's it called? Power something or another, whatever that bar is called, fighting in the parking lots. I saw the videos. This isn't a good look for you as parents. You have to be willing to make sacrifices for your children. And worse yet, if you have a single parent home. So, maybe if I wanted to go out and have a drink or go to a function, I could say to my husband, all right, honey, let me check my schedule. I'm going to be going somewhere. Can you hold down the fort with a teenager? And he'd be like, yep. You don't take your children and drop them off at Camana Bay. And I've been meaning to talk about the Camana Bay situation. So we've got 10 minutes left in the program. 936-2626 is the number. Let's talk about Camana Bay. So about 2 weeks ago, the police issued a statement in relation to Camana Bay and these rogue children, and how now they're going to be working with the private security detail there at Camana Bay in order to try to get this under control, because kids are destroying property at Camana Bay, driving around illegally like a bunch of fools on their bikes and everything else, and creating quite an embarrassing situation. And you parents are the ones who are to blame for this. How do you take your teenagers unsupervised and drop them anywhere? There's a lot of things that can happen at Camana Bay. There's stairwells and bathrooms, and you don't know what your children are doing. You're dropping off little girls that could be, sexually assaulted. Like, you have not a care in the world. Any parent that drops off a child at Camana Bay unsupervised should be jailed. That's what I think, because that is the height of irresponsibility. So now, poor Camana Bay, and what the irony of it all is, remember when Camana Bay was first built, Jared?
Yeah.
Everybody was like, oh, then this not for Caymanians. They're not gonna let Caymanians there. The irony of it is, y'all are there so much that you feel like you can just have a babysitting service there and just drop off your kids and leave them on their own.
Because it's a safe place, but it's not supposed to be abused.
No place is a safe place when you have children
What I mean,
unsupervised.
they have security walking around, but I understand your point. But
That's not their job. Their job is not to make sure your children don't walk behind the bushes and get into some trouble or whatever. Supervise
that been going on there.
Children. If the police have to issue a report about this, then I consider it to be pretty serious. Supervise your children, folks. This is ridiculous. Let me try and find the story and tell you what kind of activity we're talking about. This was May the 5th. Concerns as youth engage in antisocial behavior at Camana Bay. So the story goes that community policing officers have been working with the Camana Bay property management to address escalating occurrences of antisocial behavior, predominantly by a group of youths at Camana Bay. CCTV footage and photo evidence shows vandalized toilets, chairs thrown into the waterways, golf carts, commandeered and crashed into obstacles, and groups of youths on bike holding up traffic by performing dangerous stunt acts along the main street of the town center. Really? This is what you parents are letting your kids do? So the RCIPS Community Policing Inspector Leslie Ling Hall said that some of this activity is about kids looking for somewhere to congregate, to practice tricks and ride their bikes in an environment that is safe and accessible. And it's attractive to young bikers in that respect. However, the behavior of these group of youths have gone well beyond riding bikes with friends, and to an extreme end with kids committing acts that break the law and make them liable for arrests. Not to mention the lack of consideration shown towards the community that visits Camana Bay. People live there, people visit there. We go there for ice cream, for dinners, for the movies. And this is something that's very dangerous for not just the children, but even people who are visiting. 2 youths arrested for drug-related offenses at Camana Bay the weekend before. So, Camana Bay the DART organization has created what they call their town center that is supposed to be accessible and enjoyed by all. And yet there's always that handful that is going to make it bad for everyone. Do not take you should be charged as a parent for just taking your children and dropping them off somewhere in public with no supervision. Who does that? Y'all need a dose of Aunt Lottie. Let me tell you something. Now, Aunt Lottie was strict to an extreme extent, and I probably wouldn't recommend most parents being that strict. But at times, I understood why she felt like she had to be so strict. Because on the other side of the spectrum, we have parents who just don't give a damn. You think she would allow me to Child, please. Y'all must be out of your damn mind. That would never have happened. Going to the movies with your friend? Yep, she's going to sit 2 rows behind you. You can enjoy that popcorn. I'm sitting right here looking at you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a different world now. Like,
Parents, and it's a more dangerous world now too. Parents, just do your job. Aliano says, yes, I see the S that goes on at Kimana Bay, and it's maddening. Janetta says that they don't care, point blank. I think she's talking about the K's Foundation and others who should be taking this situation under control. Can we get a parent, and any parent willing to admit to just dropping off kids at Kimana Bay? 936-2626. Can you help us understand your logic and why you think that's a good idea? Y'all need to be named and shamed for your foolishness. Moya says, is there an international sexual registry list that can provide individuals, people added to it once shows a news article that shows that they were convicted, so we can start adding these people? No, there's no international list. Every jurisdiction tends to maintain and have its own list, and normally that is done by government agencies.
But you don't have to be a government agency to say, because to be honest,
let me tell you what happened. Because I started one many years ago, and the police threatened me with arrest.
For what? What law did you break?
For creating this registry on Facebook. And so I had to pass it on to someone who lives overseas, who's outside the arm's length of the law here. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, they haven't really been, it's on Facebook. It's called, I think it's called the Cayman Island Sex Offender Registry. And unfortunately, that person hasn't really been maintaining it. I got to reach out to them. Mm-hmm. But there's a number of people on there now.
But if the government ain't gonna make one, the government can't tell people say not to make one. It's not.
Well, they were putting pressure.
So they were going to arrest you, lock you up for what? What law?
I don't know what law they were intending to use, but who knows?
But if you say allegedly, that's not saying that.
No, we were putting people who were convicted, who we had all the details on. So I don't know. They just do not want to have the sex offenders registry. Part of it is because the people who are offenders in this country, I guess they have family members, they're connected and so on, right?
Yeah.
So they're protecting they would rather protect the offenders,
right,
than to actually do something about it.
Well, when Premier Panther comes on next week, Wednesday, we'll be asking that question, and we'll be asking about the code of conduct for the parliament, which has not been in session for a good while, and the sexual offenders list. What's happening?
Well, the code of conduct, yes, for parliament, for all of parliament. He's got one for his ministers that has been adopted. Andrea says this is why most people don't want to rent to people with kids. Folks, we got to end the radio show, so let me play the outro song for that. Bobo 89.1, you guys have a fabulous day.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.
Yes, Jared. So Andrea says that that's why people don't want to rent to people, kids, because they allow their kids to do whatever without consequences. And the sentiment, again, everyone's impacted by it because, of course, if you have a kid, not every parent is like that. But there are too many out there that allow their children to mess up people's property. And it's just like, oh, whatever.
No, that's bad behavior, and that shouldn't be tolerated.
Beyond bad behavior. Anyway, we'll see if the K's Foundation has anything to say this time around.
They're not going to say nothing.
But we doubt it. So we had 2 qualified Caymanians I've heard that have applied for the position of manager at the Case Foundation. We had Sylvia Wilkes and Belinda Gordon, both properly qualified Caymanians. Neither were given the opportunity. The new
Why?
manager from the
FOY, ombudsman FOY. That we going to do that.
So the new manager for the Case Foundation is from Ireland.
Okay. What are going to help do us? Nothing. I tell that right now.
So he says that he has experience working in a residential childcare since 2006 and as a manager since 2014.
You can be a person in a position, but what did you achieve? What were the results? What were the outcomes? Just having a qualification does not meet the requirement. It's what you've been able to achieve, which quite frankly the government does not understand, right? Sylvia Wilkes has started a foundation and a symposium for youth people. That's an achievement. If somebody from overseas, it's a very fine line, to be honest, but what Caymanians have always been questioning is how is it that you're prioritizing people with so-called qualifications from overseas, but when they actually do the job, the achievement is not there, and it creates a huge indictment on the government when they do that. And here we have with the Case Foundation and a series of positions, even the director of prison, which right now is Caymanian, but before it wasn't Caymanian. The fire department. We see it. Wherever we have somebody who is not a competent person to achieve Caymanian results, we always UCCI. We had that lady. Yeah, she did a little 1, 2, 3 thing, but that was not primarily her work. So what I'm saying is, government, we have qualified Caymanians, hire the qualified Caymanians. If not, we will have to vote every one of you all out.
Mm-hmm.
That's primarily it. Because as I stand with the PACT Sunday, they haven't. The PACT is at 40% with me. They don't seem to be that. They might be different from PPM in terms of we're pro Caymanian and sticking to that. But in terms of policy standpoints and really doing what it's supposed to do to help the Cayman, at the end of the day, that's where they're failing. Because even at the schools, we're seeing fights, right? And I'm not saying that the people there aren't qualified. I'm saying they're not achieving the Caymanian results. That's the problem. And these chief officers who don't have to be under public scrutiny, they're the ones managing these agencies. And it seems to me that some are doing a good job and some aren't. So what is the outcome really? And it doesn't seem to be tangible, and that's why young people do not want to vote. So when Premier Pantan comes on next week Wednesday, there's some serious questions that need to be answered. And I don't want the delegation thing.
Ms. Darlene says hiring people from overseas that knows nothing about our culture. Sylvia, more than experienced, knowledgeable, and know her people. Aliana says again, once the skin is white, they're right. Ouch, that was too racist. What a hot mess. Okay, folks, that's it. I got work to do today. Jared, have a beautiful day. Everybody turned into live stream. Over 200 of you still. Aliano, Janetta, Jess, Moya, Elinda, Soka, everybody. You guys have a fabulous day. Hard work never killed anybody. That's what Aunt Lottie told me. Oh, let me read, before we leave, let me read my little calendar, my OMG facts. Today is March the 19th. So let's do the OMG fact for today. I keep forgetting about these. So OMG, March 1920th. I think this calendar is for the wrong year. You know, this don't make no sense. March the 19th is not. Oh no, this calendar is off. Well, you know what? Then I can just read them randomly. I don't have to. I was trying to read them in order. Okay, here's one. A greeting card is touched an average of 25 times before it is bought. Ew.
Nasty, man.
Yeah, COVID germs on that greeting card. Child, send an e-card. You guys have a fantabulous day. We will see you here tomorrow morning, 7:30, bright and early. Work hard. Be good. Don't steal from anybody. Please don't molest people's children. Child molesters, we hate you with a passion. You do know this. And we will continue to expose you. So whoever this 45 or 40-something-year-old construction worker is, be rest assured, we can find you. We can find out your ID. And we're going to let everybody know who you are. Leave people, children alone. The rest of you, try to follow the regular rules and just be good. See you tomorrow.